Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Let me adjust screens here real quick. Go to that one. So this is actually the anniversary of the first paint over I did. So this one, like last year at this time, I did one. And so I was like, oh, it's perfect that it falls on this kind of day. So I had a few submissions come in through Twitter, and I'm probably going to try to do a couple. So I want to get a couple of them done on this live stream. And so this is it. We didn't even, Lee and I did one show together before, and this is our first time talking since then. So you're seeing this is like behind the scenes and the scenes all at once. Lee, how have you been doing?
Yeah, I've not been too bad. Still living in lockdown over here. So it's the same day every day, Groundhog Day, repeatedly. But it's actually, I was going to say, but it's always different, painting different things, but I'm always painting the same thing. So, yeah, I'm trapped in a loop, apparently.
I know. That feeling, the Groundhog Day effect. It's spring, so I get all, once I see the sun shining and everything, it's not full spring yet. There's still some snow on the ground, but it makes me want to, like, run around outside or something.
Just find that shadow of yours, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Let me adjust a couple things here.
But yeah,
the first one, I'm going to try to do this one. This, I can't remember who it was on Twitter. I saw this one, and I'm going to look for him now. I loved it. There's so many. That's the only bad thing about trying to do one of these is I see so many I want to do. And it's like, oh, I don't have enough time to do all of them. And I think this is Zinch Sorcerer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I remember that this was one of the ones that stood out for me as well, because it was a conversion that I remember. Don't remember exactly who it was because there was a lot of people posting, but it was, as I say, one of those standout ones. And I'm a bit of a Zinch fan myself anyway, so this really did sort of appeal to me.
So yeah, that's why I was like, I got to do this one. Oh, is our stream? Yeah, the stream is live. I was making sure it wasn't showing on my other PC. All right. I did this morning. I was, of course, all panicked because I wasn't prepared, but I took some out and I cleaned them up, and I wanted to give myself some sort of a start. So I got to choose the background color. I started out this way, and that's way too light. So I made it darker, which I like that because even the light blue of his helmet's going to pop. I'll be able to do the nice pink energy against it. I'm going to do my own version of that pink energy at the bottom to make it more in motion. And so I was like, well, at least I'll give myself a clue as to what I should do with these. And so I was like, well, I'll start that one. I'm going to try to, let me see gallery here. I loaded up like 6 or 5 of these. I want to try to do this one.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the other ones. That one up. Yeah, from that. And I cleaned that one up. So I got an idea on this one. So this one, I kind of did a little bit to get them going. I was like, okay, I can play with that because it's got that real cool lighting. So I was just like, all right, I'll leave them in the dark and I'm going to try to light this one up good. So that's probably the second one. I figure I'll at least get through 2. And then I have a few others here. I saw this one, which I somewhat cleaned up, but it's still difficult. There's a couple people I've been wanting to get to. They always put this one in, and I had an idea for it. I've seen this like 3 times. I'm like, okay, I got to do this one. I don't know if I'll get to that today. And this one was so cool. I absolutely loved it. I was erasing this one this morning. I was like, man, I just erased way too much, and I don't know if I'm going to have time to go through all these little grooves in it, but I really want to do this one. This one is such a great color. So out of that, we'll see what I get through. What have you been working on?
Well, again, just with continuing my epic quest to build as many Titans as possible. I started last night on my 83rd, 84th Titan. So I've done the 2 on Monday, which was 2 Warhounds, and then, as I said, I started building last night, and today, after I eventually crawled out of the pit this morning, I continued to paint, and I'm about 90% done, all in all. What with like doing all the base work, and it's positioning as well, because I like to have dynamic sort of striding poses as much as possible. So
those are the same kind I like. You know, you get a little bit of movement in some of them when you can.
Oh, definitely. And then there's a lot of drilling involved when you're trying to magnetize the weapon arms, which can be quite dangerous because, as I say, it's dealing with such small bits, especially like the arm sections on them. And I'm using like a 3mm drill bit, so that it's quite a sizable drill bit for such a small piece in order to get the magnets in, and you've got to be pretty spot on with your drilling, because otherwise you're going to make a right mess of it.
What's been the weather over there for you guys?
It's been really weird. I think Monday was glorious. It was a really, really nice day. You know, I was walking around with just a sweater on. Actually, no, tell me, that was yesterday. I can't even tell what days they are now. They all blend in. So yesterday was really nice, vibrant blue. Perfect sort of weather, really. But it has gotten a bit of a chill later on, and it's continued today. It's been quite overcast and misty in my part, anyway.
I know. It starts like we had a big snowfall, and then it started getting sunny, and it's all melting, and it's heating up. So I'm like so antsy to go out or do anything. I'm like been trapped in all winter, you know. So I'm just want to do something like some exercise outdoors. Go walk around. I don't even care what it is.
Yeah, where I live, there's actually a park behind us, and you normally get a few people over there, like organised sort of exercising, where they're flipping car tires over and shaking ropes and stuff. And I get my exercise by watching them. Yeah, that's quite strenuous, but no, it's quite nice because when it is a pleasant day and hasn't been too sodden out there, it is quite a nice little walk that I can go and wander through the woods and stuff. So
that's good. I know that I like kind of the wooded territory. I don't have much around that I can just get to easy enough, but I'm a nature fan, so anytime I can.
Well, I've got the woods behind me, and about 3 miles away driving is the Thames estuary. So where it comes from out of the River Thames into being part of the sea. So that's always pleasant to go down to on a nice day, because I do like to take some photographs when I'm down there, because it can be really nice.
Okay, I noticed some of your photos, and I thought they were really good, and I was like, okay, you must take quite a few of them, because that was one thing I'm like, oh wow, he does take some nice like outdoor photographs. I seen a few, and you had a couple at night that I saw.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky as well, because we're right near a couple of sort of big towns. So with light pollution, so normally you might see half a dozen stars, which is good. But with my new phone I've got, one of the iPhone 12 Pros.
Oh, you did.
It's got really good night vision capabilities. So I get a lot more. You can adjust the settings, so the exposure for longer. So normally you can get to about 10 to 30 seconds if you're lucky. Depends on the overall light, how dark it is. And then once you do that, I just take it into Photoshop to get rid of the glare, and the amount of stars that can't just appear from that. It's just, I was just standing there going, is this the same place I'm looking at? Because I could look up And
Good to know. I was debating how those looked. I'm like, I don't think I could swing a new iPhone, but I've been thinking about it. And good to know it that you liked it, because I didn't hear of anyone I know got one yet.
Yeah, I was due an upgrade anyway, and
Yeah.
strangely enough, it works out cheaper than what I was paying for my last iPhone, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, I always get myself a decent camera phone for the amount of photographs I take when I'm,
Yeah. And
wandering
now they're
or
so
painting.
good. The cameras on those phones are so good. They're like, they work for a lot of stuff. And I use that Switcher Studio for this, and it's all Apple, right? So I use my Apple phone and the iPad, and I'm like, I do need another device because there's other things I can do with it. Hey, King Crimson, thanks for joining us. And appreciate you becoming a Patreon, King Crimson. So that's really good of you.
Crimson is in the house.
We got a few chats now. As I'm going to try to do some of these paintovers. We do, in not too long, a few minutes, the Miniatures Apothecary is going to join us, and we are going to scroll through. I want to try to have a guest. So Lee and I haven't even done anything behind the scenes except talk right now to do this. And so I decided we have to bring on another person just for like 5-10 minutes, because I wanted to try it out, like, just button click and all that, because a big part of this for me is just practice. Like, I'm not trying to have the greatest show on earth out the get, but the more I do this stuff and the more I get familiar with it, the better the show will be. So in a few, we're going to bring him on, and we're going to scroll through. A lot of people submitted beautiful miniatures for this, and unfortunately, like, I can't paint over all of them, but I definitely wanted to go through, and I might have questions for both Lee and Apothecary about the models themselves. So we're going to do that here in a minute after I get just a hair more done on this. This is so cool. I'm just trying to be kind of subtle with this one.
Yeah, I think subtlety would be key with this one as well, because you've got quite a lot of different mix of colours in there as well. You don't want to be overcharging it as such.
I know.
That pink is looking lovely though.
I love the base on it too. It's got the little swirl. You can't see it, but I was like, okay, I want to take that same kind of effect and have it more flying forward, so he's like riding into some smoke and that. I want some good Misty Zinch change fun. Let me see. I am going to Green Crimson. Yeah, I'm a chatty bastard. What do you got here? And you still lockdown, so no real. Do you ever do that tabletop simulator thing?
I've recently acquired it. So got on my stream. Well, I had to start a new stream account because my son has acquired mine. So and because you can't have two people on it at the same time, and he's always on it when he's not doing his schoolwork, it's a bit tricky. But yeah, I've got it. It does look interesting, and I have seen. Well, I've watched a couple of games between people on. On Tabletop Simulator via I think Discord, and it admittedly you don't have to paint any models for it if you're playing sort of Warhammer on there.
I didn't know how well it kind of fills in. Just like if you're, a lot of people are on lockdown, you can't play or whatever. So maybe at least you get a couple games in or something that way. If it's at least a decent filler for it, just a little bit.
Yeah, I just need to download some of the mods to be able to play sort of like 40k games or Titanicus on it. And it gives you, they look like the units. They're not sort of, perfectly sort of shaped. They're not just like little squares or anything, but you can see the units. And then you are playing on a virtual tabletop, so it's different perspective. So it does look really interesting, as I say. And if you want to get a game going, then as the King Crimson says, it is pretty good, and it does look good. So whilst we're still trapped indoors, at least you can
I know that's
play with a couple of friends somewhere.
Yeah, because a couple people had said, "Hey, I'll show you a few things of how to play," and I was like, "I've been thinking about it. I just never had the chance." All right, let's give this a go, guys. We're going to introduce the Miniature Apothecary again in our first ever triple screen fiasco. Let me go. First I have to make sure he's unmuted. Not that I thought anything would go wrong, so now he's unmuted. And we are going to go to the triple screen setup, I think. Yep, the drum roll, see if it works. Here he is. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. Nope.
No, we can see him.
Nope, we can't see anyone yet. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da!
Hey!
Everybody's here.
Hello.
How did I get here?
And one of the first things I wanted to do, like one of the reasons I even wanted to have you on off the get is, what are you have a charity stream going on? What is the event? That's kind of what I wanted to cover mostly.
Okay, so that's easy. It's 24 hours my descent into madness. Yeah. So it's a fundraiser. I'm painting for like 24. It's actually longer than 24 because I take into account some breaks. And it's raising money for SI UK, which is scleroderma and Raynaud's. It's not classed as, if you read on their website, it's like they don't class it as like diseases and stuff. It's a phenomenon because they don't know enough about it. There's actually quite a high percentage of people in England that suffer from it. My dad had it. He went for 12 years, unfortunately, before he had 12 years and then unfortunately passed away.
Wow. Okay.
I did one last year and we raised £810.
Oh wow! Good.
So last year, funnily enough, I set the goal at like 150 or something daft, and by 12 o'clock we were on 300 and something. By the time we'd finished the day after, it was 810.
Good.
So hopefully we just want to smash it this year. We want to smash that goal. But yeah, all proceeds will go to the charity. I'm painting up, I think, somewhere in the region of like 25 power levels, so 500 points worth of flesh terrors.
Are you? I was wondering, that is a long paint session. Oh gosh! All right.
Yeah.
You'll earn it for charity with that stuff.
It could have gone for something easier, like painting Necrons, just silver and wash.
Battle hand done. No, well, Flesh Terrors was my first 40k army. I started off with Fantasy, and I did Lizardmen, and my dad did the Patronians, because we bought the box set with the Lizardmen and the Patronians in. Yeah. And he did the Patronians, I did the Lizardmen, and that was very much sort of dipped it in the pot and wiped off the excess, and there you go, Lizardmen. Yeah. But then I did Flesh Terrors as my 40k army, and my dad taught me as much as he possibly could. Patience, technique.
That's the one thing.
So I thought, we'll do Flesh Terrors for this one.
Okay. One thing I wanted to do while I had you on too is, so yesterday I tweeted out, or the day before, that Lee and I would be starting something more regular, and I told people to submit pictures, and that's where I chose from today. So I wanted to look at some of these, and you guys are going to know your 40K better than me, and I might have some questions about some of these, and we'll see if you guys even know. And I just wanted to, I can't paint over them all, but there's a lot of beautiful work that was submitted, so I just want to cover some of it and look at some of the stuff that people sent in, like this one by Wolf Lord Lewis, who is a member of the Patreon. I really appreciate that. He sent in this one, and I couldn't choose it because I just painted him over. And I was like, nope, I got to wait. I got to try someone different. So you had to wait on this one. I wanted, this one was, what's bad is I end up wanting to do so many of these. Like, that one would make a cool paint over because you could have him really firing, and he's got a lot of different colors on him. That's a nice Primaris, mix. Ain't it? That's a Primaris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a bit of blur on my screen this end.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I want to test it out.
Switched over to the YouTube, but the YouTube's slower than what we're doing. So it's like, no, hang on.
That's what I was wondering.
I can see it now, yeah.
No, that Space Marine there was actually was it a Terminator, I think?
Yeah.
So
okay.
not Primaris, first generation.
This thing I never saw this model.
It's the bases from like the was it Hero bases or something they did? That's really cool.
Going old school Calgar.
Yeah, I saw this had actually got onto the Warhammer TV as well, sort of thing. And Nick Baton, who is a big sort of Space Marine or Ultramarine sort of fan. He was,
oh yeah, that was on the roundup
pose.
or whatever. Yeah, I think so. Okay.
So there's some amazing people have got on Roundup recently. Absolutely brilliant.
That was really cool of them. I like that they show a lot of good quality work. So I always like, it's cool to see everyone like retweeting. It's like, hey, I got on Roundup. This one I might try to do. It's still a little complex, but I got a decent idea for it that I think I can pull off. So one of these days I'm going to do that. And Engra is always a good supporter of mine, so I appreciate that. Oh, these are those ones that I really want to do, but then like this one is kind of possible. I've done a few vehicles like this, and I was like, I don't know. I know it would make a great paint over, and it was. Oh, see this one too, another Titan. I almost did the Titan too because I was like, oh well, Lee's on here. He's going to be working on them, so I should do the Titan. So I get all.
You can't go wrong with Titans.
I know.
That's it. That's Lee's.
Titans bring everybody.
There's a Titan involved, Lee's.
They do. So I'm like, this isn't even 40K, is it? Is it?
That was an AT Reaver. So the same as what I was working on today.
Okay.
So that was the Reaver Beta. I should be more specific in that. There is a difference.
Oh gosh. This one was another one. So Rich Nutter had this his Terminators with the Land Raider.
The Land Raider Phobos.
Yes, this one stood out with me. The Rogue Trader era to a Land Raider.
Yeah,
and it looks so perfect.
Sorry, the Phobos is a Demos Land Raider.
And this is one I still. So this one, the reason I couldn't take this one, I'm like, okay, it's got a lot of little. Like I'd have to be cleaning in between claws or doing a lot of stuff. I'm like, and like even though I really wanted to do this one, I was like, I think I can get it. Yeah, man, that's the worst thing about this is you like can't do them all. This one was cool. I love this little one has had the newer Land Raider in the back, but I dig how it was out of focus. Like not out of focus, the front is in focus, but the back is like out of focus, and I kind of like that. I don't think I would have enough time to mess with it on a free paint over day, though.
Yeah, that's the Phobos pattern Land Raider.
Okay.
Because if part of your education in 40K, 30K heresy type things,
I'm down.
The reason why in the heresy you have a lot more Demos pattern vehicles like Rhinos, Land Raiders, etc. The Forge Moon of Mars, which is called Demos, was obviously pumping out these vehicles, and then as the end of the heresy comes up, they relocated the moon Demos in orbit of another moon called Titan, which obviously some people might know. There's a certain chapter that lives on Titan that we don't really know about, and we shouldn't ever mention on open channels because otherwise we'll get inquisited to death. But yeah, so there's a switch over from Demos pattern equipment to then Phobos. Because Phobos took over all the making of stuff.
That was a good little tidbit because I did not know that at all. This one was actually put in by you, right, Miniature Apothecary?
Yeah, well, why not? I'll just drop it.
No, what's funny is this one's going to get done at some point because I already see the fireballs he's going to be dodging. Kind of like it's like something exploded and all the debris is going to be raining down, so he put his shield up. And I was like, nice. So I already know that one's going to get done at some point because I'm like, I never see that pose, and I was like, oh, that's perfect for like raining down debris, and he's trying to do it.
I just went for it was just going for something different.
Yeah, no, and I loved it. That's the kind of thing. That's one of them that, and again, the only reason I did was like, oh, I kind of just did one of his not too long ago, so I'll do someone different. But that's the kind of thing that triggers in my mind. Like it tells that little bit of story, so it already tells me, oh yeah, he's dodging debris, put some falling flaming debris, and he's got a shield, and so it's very easy for me to imagine. This one, I don't know if it's aftermarket. The Laz looking cannon plasma thing looks cool on this one. So I don't know if this is a regular one or like an aftermarket product on his right arm. I couldn't tell.
That is actually a Tau hammerhead railgun, I think.
Yeah.
That is converted into a weapon. So yeah, again, it's my main screen is not the greatest, so that's why I'm a bit quiet on commenting. So I'm on my phone.
Yeah, I'm going to say I've opened up Twitter on so I can see where we're at.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to try this is because I want to watch it back later on different devices and see can we even see these? Do I need to dump people out? So that's all part of experimenting. There's another one. I always love the apothecaries.
Can't beat a good apothecary.
Well, that's the thing is with everyone was submitting photographs as well. A lot of them were doing like just group shots and everything like that. And I know that you specifically really want to have like one sort of unit to concentrate.
Yeah, 1, 2, like a couple. I generally those work better.
Yeah, and obviously having a lighter background behind it as well helps you out with the tidying up and everything. But also advice for anyone who is looking for any sort of future submissions is like Miniature Apothecary done. And what I did when I was lucky enough to be chosen was angles, going from a different angle to give a different perspective. Because as you said, like if you saw Miniature Apothecary's shield axe wielding badass and you're just looking at the front, you're just seeing a shield and some legs, but because he's on that side, it's at a lower angle, so you're getting more of appreciation of the direction. It tells a story. So experiment with your sort of angles when taking photographs. Make sure you've got a good light source behind you as well. Obviously if you're using light boxes, that makes a huge difference to how a picture comes out.
No, he's absolutely great point, because that's like this is like a great composition just out of one miniature. And the other thing I'd like to touch on is most of us, when we take a picture of a miniature, we set it down and we kind of take the angle from above. Keep in mind, once in a while, you can put a miniature kind of at the edge of a table and take the picture almost looking up a little bit at it. And so that usually makes them real big and imposing. So keep that in mind too, along with Lee's advice. Good one, Lee.
I would also... Oh, sorry. I was just going to say what I tend to do as well. Most camera phones, if you're using a camera phone for photography, most camera phone has their lens at the top, and you look through your phone. The camera's at the top there. What I do a lot of the time is actually do it upside down. Oh. So you get a totally different perspective. You're looking up from a lower. So if you was doing an AT Titan or a Knight, from that angle, you're looking up at it as if you were there. My God, there's a huge Titan coming for me. Yeah. But yeah, just those little things like that. I've given away my secret now. Everyone's going to be doing it, and then
everyone's doing it.
Yeah, I know. Damn it.
When it comes to the submissions, I mean, as long as you've got that white background, there's nothing stopping you from getting like a bit of blue tack and a paint pot and just putting the Mini on top of the paint pot, because it gives you that higher
absolutely
to get the picture.
Does anyone know what this miniature came from? Can you see that? Okay.
It's an orc with a big bone weapon.
That's a 40. That's a fantasy one, ain't it? AOS.
I'm not sure.
I haven't seen that myself.
Okay. Might be a different.
Because I'm so stuck in 30k, 40k, my AOS, unless they're fish elves, I have no idea. Because I just love fish elves, because what's not to love about elves walking around with fish. You know, it's crazy. I just love the idea, so that's why I bought myself some as a little palette cleanser project.
Make them 40K. This one,
40K fish.
Well, that'd be
I did choose this one. I want to try to do this one today. That's so cool.
And it's really well photographed as well. It's got all the sort of atmospherics going on there as well. So and it really pops out.
The colours, the reds and the oranges and the glow, the way they've just made it glow in certain areas.
I know. That's why I wanted to do it. I'm like, oh, I want to push that glow farther. There's some more. Gosh, and there's like, it bums me out because like I like this one a lot and want to do it with the elves. He's got a cool little scene with the two of them. That one looked cool.
Oh yeah, I saw this one. I think I saw this one. Oh yes, I was sorry. I just brought up a better picture of it. So
no, it's fine.
I think the duo is brilliant, and they've got the camera angle right, so you can get a good. For the paint over itself, it's really good. But like the colours on the Archer are really complementary to the one with that sodding great big sword.
I know that huge pink sword
really
was
good.
Great, like that color with because they have the green and the more natural tones, and even the purple, and then they have that nice pink blade. Like that's a great composition and everything about it.
Really
what
nice.
else? A couple more. So many people sent in. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh wait, this one I flipped out on, and this is one of those that'll end up getting done because it's simple enough, and the way that shiny paint I haven't seen. I'm like, oh, this I want like a light blue background and then that nice shiny orange. So it'd be kind of simple, like he's just walking out of this almost like baby blue type mist. You know what I mean? And have that nice shiny armor and stuff.
All I'm going to say to this one is Magnus did everything wrong.
Excuse me. I was going to say, Ashley Curtis, that orc you was talking about with the big bone weapon, it's a conversion based on a classic orc shaman. So thanks for that, Ashley.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm missing chat right now because I have the screen all open, so I appreciate any feedback. Oh, there's more of these. This is still some of my favorite. The Chaos and the Normal Knight. These are some of my favorites, and I keep wanting to buy one of these, even though I haven't painted a mini. I have been fighting it for like months now. I'm like, well, just get it. You know, you have it and all this. I'm like, no, resist, stay strong. But I really
do
want
it.
one of these.
Give in to temptation.
Give in, do it.
What is that? Is it like a chain axe? What is that? The claw looking thing? What is that?
Well, this is the chaos version of the chain, the Reaper chain sword that Imperial Knights, well, some Imperial Knights have. But obviously, being chaos, we've got to put some extra hooks and blades on it. Just because a chain blade's not good enough, you've got to have extra blade action going on.
Chain blade.
You need blades on your blades because you want to make sure you kill things.
This one was a bit too busy, so that's why I told them, I'm like, oh, it's a little too busy for a free paint over one.
Well, the fleet one would be interesting.
I know. 2 or 3 of those arranged right, that would be a real interesting one. So like those would be pulled off, and I haven't done ships yet, and I think it would be awesome. So if someone has some ships like that, get some good kind of close-up pictures of like 3 of them in space, and maybe we'll do it like next week. So I did tweet out about this show, and if you reply to that tweet with pictures, I'm going to pick from that for next week's show. So make sure if you're on Twitter, you look for that, and you can go reply, and you got time to submit it. This sister I wanted to do, it's in my board. That gun is so huge and I like the angle and the flame. I'm like, okay, it's got the flame. I could play into that and pull it off good. So I put that up for today.
Or even like a heavenly glow effect around her, because obviously accentuating her purity and belief in the God Emperor.
Good call. See, that's why I have these shows. You're right, because they do have that. Yeah.
I'm kind of just having bad flashbacks for the hazard stripes, but they're
They're not that bad.
no, they're not. They're really good, to be honest. They're better than mine. I'm quite jealous.
This was a trip. I wish I figured I could. This one is interesting. I like that is a crazy.
It's a crazy beastie.
Yeah. You got a lot.
But that's the thing. You get so many sort of really sort of high quality sculpts nowadays.
Yeah.
Talking like from back in the day, yes, we always used to get excited by new midis when they were released. But the ones that are coming out nowadays, it's just phenomenal. The quality.
They really are. They on all like their lines. There's something that I like. You know, it's like, wow, this is cool. That's cool. I love these things. This would have been
Flamers Ascension.
Yeah.
I'm not Flamers. Screamers or something like that.
Yeah, Screamers. That's what it is. This one almost made it. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
They'd go well with a disc.
I know. That's what I thought. I'm like, okay.
Anytime I see them, I go back. I go to the Realm Slayer novels, and it's stood on a squish demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one is so cool. And I have it, but it's just a lot to clean up around. But it's on my board because I was thinking about it, and it may get done anyway because that color scheme is epic. I like this.
Yeah, so anything with like wings like that always gives that look of grandeur and intimidation. Look at my wings.
All right, so I'm going to end up switching back to the other way. Miniature Apothecary, tell us again, when are you going to be doing the 24-hour fundraiser?
It's going to start on the 12th at 8 o'clock, and I'll be finishing on the 13th at like 9:30, something like that.
Okay.
We're still, fingers crossed, we're still waiting to hear back from SI UK, and we might have a guest speaker as well.
Oh, wow.
So
I'll be sure to. I'll stop by and check it out. You've always been supportive on my streams. Like I've been trying to go, stop by more and more people's streams, just see what they got going on, and like, okay, people stop by mine. I gotta go check everyone's out. So
yeah,
that's been a lot of fun. All right, you have a good day. I think you're streaming later. I'll probably be done and then hop on yours after.
I'm streaming. Yeah, I'm streaming tomorrow. I've got painting session tonight on the Discord, so
Okay.
you're always welcome, dude. Every time.
Right.
Lee, it was nice to meet you as well, by the way.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I think you got to leave on your own. I'm not going to boot you or anything. I'm just going to switch games off.
Well, you got to do it yourself,
Bye for now. What happened to my...
Enjoy, guys.
Take care, man.
Oh, that worked out. I have to turn this on. Share the screen. Good. That went better than expected. Let me get my screen back. If my tablet goes to sleep, it disconnects and I got to reconnect it.
I'll just look at myself and the GIF that was going off just then. So surreal.
There. We got everything. I'm checking. I got to check the stream. Oh, someone was already replying. Good. All right. Now get to that. Wow, thanks for joining. 7 people. Let me catch up on some. Oh, you read them. Good. I was catching up on chat now that I can see it. Let's throw it over to the guests. Oh, Ed Smith. Yeah, it was funny. 11 viewers. Yes, thank you. And I got 5 now. Yeah, King Crimson, he took a picture. I'll show you one later that he did. Awesome. And Ashley, thank you very much for telling us his conversion. Now I'm going to work on this one for a bit.
Miniature Apothecary's back in the chat. Damn it! Oh, my plan
that was our
foiled again.
First semi-regular show and first guest. We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, it was lovely having you on there, Miniature Apothecary. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
That was good.
So
I know. I keep seeing everyone doing Titanicus right now, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, man, and I love that kind of game ever since like what Battletech back in the day. You know, a lot of heat sinks, and you know what I mean. It's like the wear and tear of battle.
Seeing as you mentioned Battletech, they're actually redone Battletech. I've seen recently some like on pre-order box sets of mechs, so like command stars and lances or what have you, where you buy a box and you have 4 to 5 different mechs in there.
Wow.
And yes, I've been looking at that because I know a couple of people who have been doing them, and the models again. There was one picture on Twitter a couple of weeks ago where they showed a comparison between the old style miniatures and the new ones, and obviously sizes, they're bigger, a lot more detail to them as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, being a mech head, I have been tempted to maybe acquire
Just
one or two of these.
Dabble a little.
Dabble a little. Yeah, I was always. I always liked the game. I only played it a few times. I role played it and played the computer games a lot more. And I am officially a Clan Ghost Bear member. And yeah, I just fancied getting hold of some of them to paint up as Ghost Bears, just to have. Really, yeah. I'm not anticipating playing anything with it, but I just want to get the models.
Yeah, that's it. That's like some of mine. I'm like, yeah, I might not even play, but I just want the miniatures and might paint them up. And that was something cool too. I didn't know I haven't role played in forever, but I still pick up some of the stuff. So at some point I'll have to talk to you about that too, because that's interesting. I've just been out of it for so long. I don't even know what people are playing. I think the last thing I really played was like White Wolf, like the vampire and werewolf.
Yeah, I used to play a lot of that. I actually used to live role play that as well, and I was involved over here. Well as in the States, there used to be a society for the live role play called a Camarilla, and I used to be a storyteller for the UK Camarilla for the fiefdoms of Essex and London. So it was like different games that like play on different nights, like once a month. Like the London games, we used to hire out a pub in London, and because the thing is, over the weekend in the evenings, London is like a ghost town, so you can rent out a pub, no problem, and have people coming all over from like the home counties, south coast even. To travel up and participate in a few hours of live action role play.
That would be awesome.
Doing all their sort of different clans, the politics going on, and then obviously we'd follow up with the storytelling aspect of it, with what's happened per game. But with the Essex team that I was with, we had some venues. We started off with a camp, where there was you could go around the woods, so we incorporated sort of werewolf into it as well. So werewolves running around, vampires doing their vampire-y things. But then we got hold, and no lie, we used to role play in basically a nuclear bunker. A command nuclear bunker out in Essex. There's actually the funny thing was it had like 3 floors. It was basically a command hub. So if World War III, that's where a lot of the sort of like organizational people would have gone in that sort of time of disaster.
Yeah,
but. When we was having the tour, the guy who owned it, one of my friends asked him, "How much did it cost you?" And he sort of smiled and went, "Guess." And like my friends would go, "Oh, a couple of million." And he went, "Nope." And then like another one, another guess. And I said, "It cost you nothing, didn't it?" And he just looked at me, because this bunker, all he did was buy the land. So he bought a couple of acres of land, because he was like adjoining to his farm. So he bought a couple of acres of land and got a free Command HQ nuclear bunker on it.
Wow, that's the craziest thing. That is crazy.
So he basically opens it up to the public, and you can go down and have a tour of this facility, and it's massive. It is really, really big. And the crazy thing was he had the year before they sold it, because they were selling off all these old assets.
Yeah.
They done a £19 million refit on the entire facility. So it was all like up to scratch and everything. All the generators and everything was all tip top and working order. But yeah, it was crazy. But we had that, and then we also had a old Napoleon fort along the Thames, a place called Coalhouse Fort. Yeah. So we had some really classic venues to play role play in, which really added to the whole experience.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's like a way to do it. James Kidd said, watching between work, but I saw my sister on here, and thank you. Thank you for submitting it. I really appreciate that. And it helps like the likes and the retweets. So I noticed like I get enough. Twitter really helps me, and then my YouTube has been starting to grow. So, please like and share and all that kind of stuff, because I notice once in a while at night, like the algorithm has been picking up some of my videos and exposing them to more people. So it's been, trickling in and getting some of that. So thanks very much for anyone who's been liking and favoriting and all that. And I'm going to start.
And it doesn't cost anything to do that as well. So
no, and it helps. It really does. It's like one of the biggest things. I'm like, wow, like YouTube's been good about it. So I figure try to grow it.
Crimson, he did a live stream of his Forsaken Werewolf character, a detective named Dutch. But that's the thing, if he's called Dutch, I'm instantly thinking of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator.
Yeah, that's right. Good
but as a werewolf, that would be awesome. Schwarzenegger is werewolf.
Schwarzenegger role playing. I want to see Schwarzenegger do a role playing game. You know what I mean? He's like a member of it. Even like, what character would he pick?
He'll go for a hobbit type halfling. Just to be different.
Yeah, he'd play a little hobbit. Yeah, like a totally little hobbit.
But that's the thing. There was like with places like Critical Role, where they do their little streamed episodes of role playing. And I used to watch Will Wheaton. Used to do Titan Forge, I think it was called, or something. Which was a role playing. He had several sort of like celebrities playing in the game as well. So like there was like YouTubers and stuff like that as part of the team. But also with Critical Role with Matthew Mercer, they had like Vin Diesel, who is a huge D&D player. They had him came on when just after he'd done the film. Was not the Witcher. It was saying.
I know which one, and I can't remember it now.
Yeah. But they made a subclass for his character from the film, and he participated in it. But also, was it Joe Montenegli? He's got the Death Saves roleplay thing. Out in LA, he's in his basement of his mansion. He's got a role play room, and he has people like the Big Show flies over for games, and the guys who the producers of Games of Thrones are part of his gaming group, and they have like all these other people going over there and joining in his like gaming sessions, and it's like he's had it all decked out to look like a dungeon, and they've got all the little figures and everything. And obviously Joe has his own line of role play like merch and stuff, and that's why he's got like Death Saves is his line.
Wow. See, I'm so out of the loop on a lot of that stuff, and it just everything, all that grew so massive now. Like I don't know, I'm not aware of like much in the role playing game, but I picked up like Soulbound just because I love like making characters and stuff. I was like, let me pick up the book and look at it and stuff. So because I always loved that with RPGs, and I still have quite a few of the old books and everything, but You know, so I'm kind of been catching up, and I was like, well, I'll start with the 40K one and see, because I was like, I'm just gonna make up my own character just to have it.
So I was just, Crimson was saying about for not for any reason, I just really hate Wesley Crusher. To be fair, he's a bit Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. He was, just we'll throw this young kid in there and let him, do stuff. But Will Wheaton is like a role playing legend, and ultra geek.
Yeah.
I do like I follow him on Twitter and like Instagram and stuff, Facebook or whatever, because he's a decent guy, and he's been through a lot, like a lot of people who have sort of emotional problems, mental health issues.
Well, especially just I think fame that young for anybody is crazy.
Yeah, and we've seen it throughout, like young actors' careers. I always remember like Drew Barrymore. When she was in E.T. and then next minute she's like getting drunk and whatever.
Yeah,
and it's a lot for them to take on. But he's. It was a post the other day about where he was like praising his wife Anne, who he's been with for sort of 20 odd years.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see. He's grounded. And he always says like, "Don't be a dick." And that's probably the best bit of advice for anybody.
It's so
true. So you don't have to be a dick to people. Just be nice. Treat people how you want to be treated, and that's what you got to worry about.
It is a especially this day and age and the internet and everything, it all gets kind of carried away sometimes. And
it's really unnecessary. Sort of if you've got nothing nice to say, then don't say anything, really.
It's like I just try to be cool. It's like I try to be good in my interactions, and oh wait, I gotta switch back. I clicked the button off again. I did it. You'll be back. Hang on.
I'm just seeing myself on the big screen, and it's terrifying.
You look fine. Yeah, I know.
But what was it? Yeah, well, Ed Smith agrees. Everybody hates Wesley Crusher. Wesley. And also Crimson. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. He went off big time. With like the drinks, drugs, and everything, and I always remember.
He picked it. He saved himself. Yeah,
I always remember when he done Chaplin when he was like 20, 21, and Sir Richard Attenborough, the famous actor, lovey director, and he just saw something in him, and I remember him like in an interview saying, "This man will be one of the best actors out there." His talent, the way he portrayed Chaplin, etc. And then he just went off the rails, drugs and everything. He got a reprieve in the film Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer.
That was kind of where he started making his comeback.
Yeah, and from that sort of put him in the spotlight again, and then obviously once he got Iron Man,
that was it.
Because I don't think we always have these moments where you think, oh, who'd be the best person to play that sort of character?
Oh, he was it.
That was bang on. Tony Stark,
he practically lived Tony Stark's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't imagine anybody else playing Iron Man. And that goes to show, obviously, he's been in a hell of a load of movies, but he made that character himself
for sure.
And that's the best thing when you are acting, that you can actually be relaxed and yourself within it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think he's only done that Dr. Dolittle, as far as I'm aware, since the Avengers, but that wasn't. I know they don't, typecasting and stuff like that, but Samuel L. Jackson is Samuel L. Jackson in every movie he plays.
Yeah,
you still believe the character he's playing, even when he's just being himself. But that was crazy. you know, what's it? It was a bit scary. Robert Downey Jr. hung out with Michael Jackson. Or
I'm sure Downey Jr. must have hung out with everybody. He was young Hollywood and I think he used to hang out with like River Phoenix and those back in the day. I think they were
River, and like Johnny Depp, all that, Joaquin. But yeah, I would say where Ed's hung out with Michael Jackson. There was a story. It was actually an interview with Russell Crowe of all people, and he used to get prank calls from Michael Jackson. When for some reason, like if Michael knew that he was staying in a hotel somewhere in America or anything like that, Michael would phone him up and go, and like pretend to be somebody. and he's like, and it was also, have you ever met him? He goes, no, I've never actually met him, but he used to, for some reason, phone him up and just like pretend to be someone and go, oh no, it's Michael. And it's like, you don't hear these stories ordinarily, you know, these little glimpses on inside of what happens in the world of celebrity.
Oh yeah, and it's got to be a lot of stuff too.
Oh, definitely. There was
so you got quite a role-playing resume and stuff there then too.
Yeah, as I said, after we finished here, I'll be waiting to join up with my mates doing our continuation of our Dungeons and Dragons Dragonlance campaign.
So you're doing Dragonlance? Do you use the newest D&D rules or what?
We are because like D&D Beyond, which is available obviously online. You can make your characters up and it gives you all your information, and then you can also attach it to Roll20, which is like a role play forum, for those who don't know, where you can actually host games. So you can like have the maps come up on the screen. The players'
I've been curious to try that. So you can role play almost like we're doing this. You don't have to be in the same room type of thing. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. You can just get up on or like Zoom or Discord or WhatsApp or whatever. You get the multi-screens, you see each other, and you can flick. So if you have to make a roll, because the good thing, like if you're using Google Chrome and you've got your D&D Beyond and you've got your Roll20 open, you can go to your character sheet on D&D Beyond, click on the stat you need to roll for, and the roll will come through onto Roll20. So everyone can see what you're rolling. So there's no sort of hijinks and I rolled a 20, woohoo, when you haven't. And so it makes it. Last week's game, for example,
there's no fudging the rolls. You'd be like,
no fudging the rolls. Look, this is it. Like last week, there was 3 of us, and we was rolling like I think it was like a perception roll or something like that. And I got like on my character is like I play a wood elf paladin because I don't like to be the normal type of wood elf, wood elf ranger or whatever. I want to be a paladin because why not? Yeah. And we all done our rolls, and 3 of us basically got the minimum we could get, including our +4s or +2s or whatever. And it was like, oh my god, that is just really bad rolling, and we were doing it by computer. And it's like someone's hacked the system.
Yeah.
But that's the way. The dice roll, unfortunately. You can pull off an amazing feat of awesomeness, which, to be fair, in any role-play game that anybody's playing anywhere, we always want to have that one moment where we are the king of the hill.
Well, that's kind of why you play, I think. You know what I mean? And like, you want to have some, whatever, just a fantasy adventure. I always love that stuff for just your imagination.
Oh, totally, yeah. That's the thing is, again, tying back in with like role play and sort of TV and film. I'm a big fan of the TV series The Expanse.
Yeah,
and I've actually started rewatching it again from season 1. I'm now on season. I started yesterday. I'm on season 2 already. But I've been watching on YouTube. Ty Frank and Wes Chatham. Ty Frank, who's like the creator of The Expanse, and Wes Chatham plays the Amos in
Oh
series.
yeah. He's one of my favorite characters on that show.
Yeah, everybody loves Amos. Amos and Avasarala. Everybody loves those two.
Yeah.
But they do a little like podcast, well, not podcast, YouTube stream, and they're going through each episode each week. They're like 40, 50-minute long episodes talking about the making and everything. But what I was fascinated to find out from watching these is that the Expanse TV series originated from a role-play game.
Oh, really? Yeah, I could see that, because if you played it out, because I still have things I did as a kid that I still can talk to my friends who we played it, whatever it was, like 20-some, 30 years ago, and will still remember that gaming moment from a role-playing game. And I have one from Werewolf where, like, I had a big werewolf, and a car was charging him this one time driving, and I made like the most incredible damaging roll you could get. Like, it was just like, how like I think it was a bunch of D10s you used to roll, and if you used to succeed, and it like nailed every single one of them. It's like, so it like jumped through the car, killed everybody, and like came out fine. It was like, I always remember that one. It just cracked me up because like it was a werewolf.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody gets lovely little stories from it. It's like one of my favorite stories from playing Star Wars. We used to play Star Wars regularly, and I used to play a bounty hunter, and we was doing this one mission where we just landed on an Imperial controlled planet, so like in the big sort of space dock type things, and we got searched by customs, and the DM done a search roll and basically aced the search roll. And he said, can I have people's character sheets? And so we handed over our character sheets, and he's gone through it, and then he just stopped at one. He goes, okay, my friend Mike was playing a Rhodian pilot. He was a Rebel Alliance pilot, and on his character sheet he had written Rebel Alliance uniform. And that's what the customs people found. So he's like, oh no. And so he's gone, all right, I'll take one for the team. I'll go, yes, it's my uniform. Hands up, take me in. Unfortunately, my other friend Paul, who was slightly inebriated, was playing a failed Jedi. So he decides to spark up his lightsaber and attack. Okay, right. We're on an Imperial-controlled world. We're within the space dock, and you've lit up So he's gone through the security guys like butter, but obviously now the stormtroopers are coming over, and so there's a gunfight. He's been heroic, batting back and forth, laser bolts and all that, and I've taken the odd pot shot, and then I thought, hold on a second, there's no way we can get out of this. So I shoot the Jedi.
You did the right thing.
No. There's more. Because he'd gone before me, he'd used all these dodge dice and defense dice to send back all the blaster bolts. So as I've shot him, and I've opened up on the 6, because if you roll a 6, you get to roll again.
Okay.
So it was a stupid roll I got, because I rolled a 6 a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then the DM's gone, was that stun damage? And I said, check my character sheet. And on my, because I had like this light repeating blaster, like a really heavy sort of, it's the highest grade of a repeating blaster before you get onto the big tripod mounted ones. And I specifically wrote on my character sheet, this gun does not have a stun setting. So I killed a Jedi, but the mission continued, so it's fine.
Oh, the good old days of role-playing game. I'll have to look into them again just to see. I never saw like let me see what, people are talking. Roll20 has that for their built-in character sheets too, and you can set up macros for actions that will auto-include modifiers. Interesting. Yeah,
with that Crimson, he does the same thing with the D&D. So I've got my character sheet on the Beyond, the D&D Beyond. So I just click on that. It goes over onto what you're saying on the Roll20, and it gives you, say, all the breakdowns. If it's two-handed, one-handed, if you've got any additional bits on there as well, which is really, really helpful, because normally I don't pay any attention to books. I just play the character. I'll just go, yeah, give me my basic, my rations, my flint and steel, and my bow and a short sword, and that's me. I'm off.
I don't read the script. The script reads me.
Yeah. I just go with what's happening. Ed uses Tabletop Simulator. I wasn't aware you could actually do that for roleplay, so that sounds pretty cool.
I'm going to call this one good for now, I think, and move on to the next. I like this guy. Came out pretty cool.
A nice bit of mistiness, and I say with the bottom up there with the pink magical ethereal energy propelling his disc.
Yeah, I wanted to do. I'm like, they got such cool. Man, the designs and everything on these miniatures now are just crazy.
Well, yeah, as I said, with I forgot his name again. Sorry, the guy who did this, where he'd done that sort of conversions, make so much more of a model, and you can. I've been several times when I've looked at something and gone, "Is that a new sculpt?" I go, "No, it's just a conversion." I swapped a bit here, swapped a bit there, and bang, there it is.
Gallery. We're going to try. Now I got to try this one. I'm going to get something going on this fire.
My half-orc bard, I think, one time in later levels, pinned down a full-grown red dragon. He grabbed the beast by the nose and slammed his head into the ground, pinning it there while Samurai got the Vorpal sword. Yeah, that's going to do it.
The old Vorpal swords.
Yes, the sword that was created in the poem Jabberwocky.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So was it C.S. Lewis wrote Jabberwocky? And that was the first mention of Vorpal, his Vorpal sword.
Oh,
and so
wow.
obviously,
so you're getting dropping some good knowledge back in here.
Well, I have my moments. They're few and far between.
No, that's good. See, I'll know some stuff, you know what I mean? But I don't know that kind of good. I mean, some of it, but not that much.
Yeah, just a repository of useless information generally.
Hey, it's good. It's working perfect here. This is what it was. This is what you were born for with that knowledge. Let me see what I had going on here. So I got this one started. I started on it this morning because I was like, I don't want to come in here in a dead panic, not knowing what I'm going to do. So I just started playing with the lighting. I'm like, all right, this one I'm going to keep it mostly black because on his original, he had, mostly black, and I'm just going to stay with that and try to punch up the cool glow so I can pull it into the atmosphere.
Yes, Crimson, the Vorpal sword does go snicker snack.
There we go.
Yeah, I had to study when I was doing a open university course. I had to study and listen to Jabberwocky and the Kraken.
Okay.
By Lord Alfred Tennyson. Which there was on YouTube. There was one guy who read the Kraken, and his voice was just like so. It was like Orson Welles' voice. Yeah, reading the Kraken. It was just like really. It made you feel like you're there, seeing this great Leviathan from the deep coming out. But was it Ed Smith? A barbarian in our party collapsed a wall onto a dragon, rolled a crit, and brought down the ceiling of the dungeon. We never did get the treasure. Yeah,
you don't always come back with the treasure.
Yeah, to be fair, that if you're going to bring a wall down on top of a dragon, that's going to be a real mess to try and tidy up. It's
like the role-playing session. The next 4 times is trying to dig out the rubble to get to the treasure.
Yeah, in the next session, we spent 2 hours digging.
Yeah, you're still digging. You're like, are we done yet? Nope, you're still digging. How about now? Nope, keep digging.
It reminds me of. Have you ever played Elite?
No. What
But
is that?
Elite it was a computer game that came out in the 80s. It was like one of the first sort of spaceship simulators, and they've redone it now called Elite Dangerous.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, obviously, you have all like warp jumping and stuff between star systems and everything. However, once you arrive at designated jump points within the system, and then you have to fly to wherever you have to go within the system. But unfortunately, you're flying in real time. So with there was this one particular run I used to do, which was going between one, I think like Sol, our system, and Alpha Centauri. Unfortunately, the only place you can go to in Alpha Centauri is next to Proxima Centauri, which is the small star within the double star system, Alpha Centauri, Alpha and Beta, and then you got Proxima Centauri, which orbits them. And the space station you have to go to orbits Proxima Centauri, and your jump point is as far away as possible. So you have to spend an hour real time flying through that system to get to your destination. And you sit there. I look out around the ship, and after about 5 minutes, you go, all right, okay, I'll go do the washing up, and always keeping an ear out for pirates.
Ed Smith just said Orson Welles was the voice of Unicron in the Age Transport. So that I have to rewatch it again. That is one of my favorite movies of all time. I haven't seen it in like 15, 20 years, and I was just thinking about rewatching it because I just remember that was I love that animation.
You know who was Galvatron?
No, Orson Welles was, I think, Unicron.
No,
the big planet
Orson Welles.
Or something.
It was his last thing before he died. Orson
that's
Welles.
right.
Galvatron. Obviously, you had Megatron, and he got rebuilt into Galvatron. Galvatron was Leonard Nimoy.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was like,
Smoggy.
The one, the one scene where Unicron is offering Megatron the chance to be remade and all that, but to serve him, is this one scene where he just goes, "Your bargaining position is highly dubious." Yeah, you're a transformer. Yeah, you're big, but Unicron's a planet. It's not going to work out for you. But yeah, so that was and everybody, you've got the touch, you got the power.
Oh yeah, you got the touch on that song. Yeah, that's such a class. I'm going to have to rewatch that thing.
Yeah, if you mention that in most chat forums, a whole host of like late 30s, early 40-year-olds start crying. Yeah. No, pride!
That's right. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm like trying to relive my youth at this point, it seems.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yes, Ed, Spock was Galvatron. Elite Dangerous is a very, very awesome game and open-ended, and it's just mental. I played it in the 90s, the Elite 2, and my main favourite story in that was where you can, when you're planning a hyperspace jump, you look up where you want to head to, plot the course, and then you sort of activate your jump drives. But in Elite, it allowed you to what they'd call do a misjump, which happened randomly anyway, but you could force a misjump. So if you was being attacked by space pirates, you could go, I ain't going to be able to fight these guys. I'll press like F8 control or whatever, and then you'll force a misjump. So I did this, and it took me 15 minutes to find myself on the map because somehow I traveled the distance of like 1,000 light years, and in that old in Elite 2, the playing area was basically a mile square. Like, so if you imagine your computer screen, on your computer screen, it went for like half a mile one way, half a mile the other way if you was in the dead bank center. And so I had to travel 15 minutes to find where the hell I jumped to, just following this arrow at the top of my screen. So it's just like
going and going and going.
Yeah. And that cost me 1 ton of fuel to jump thousands of light years. There's nothing out here. It was completely dead. I had to restart the game because I couldn't get back.
Wow.
But yeah, that was mental. Was a Crimson Sane. I was actually a fan of Brave Star. Yeah, Brave Star was cool. 2020 and Mary Jane, the trusty rifle.
Brave Star. Yeah, I think my all-time favorite from back in the day, I'd have to think about it, but I know I always think about it, is we had here one called Galaxy Rangers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I heard of that, yeah.
And so that was another one. I have to look on Amazon. I wanted to buy that one because I still go through and I will look at and read some of my old, like especially comic books, White Dwarf. I always find when I want that creative energy, I go look at the old stuff I remember like when I was younger, because it almost like triggers what you used to feel like when you were younger to look at that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if I haven't looked at something for a good time, it's like, oh wow, and it gives me like a creative rush. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, like let's, I remember what I liked about it, and then I try to kind of harness that energy into what I'm doing now.
Oh, definitely. So you go through those old books, magazines, even watching an old movie sort of thing, and you just sort of transports you back to that moment when you first read or watched or listened to. But yeah, so like all those old cartoons, so like Brave Star, He-Man, it was Jason the Wheeled Warriors. I used to love watching that. Pole Position as well. That was more sort of late 80s, early 90s, I think. But Ulysses 31, which was a French cartoon based on the Odyssey.
What is like all right, so we had our cartoons over here. What was something that you guys that was like uniquely UK or something that was mostly over there back in the day?
Oh,
I'm trying to think if there was. There had to be some cartoons or something.
Battle for the Planets. Did you have that?
Yeah, I like
G-Force.
G-Force, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was Ed Smith. Ulysses 31 is on the same vein because I think G-Force was Japanese. I think it was like one of the early Japanese cartoons.
It was, I think so.
And then because it wasn't called Battle for the Planets. It was Galactic or Galactica Force or something like that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you're right.
For us, it was doing that G-Force and whatever. I said Jason the Wheeled Warriors. Ulysses 31.
I remember when I was
there's loads of stupid cartoons I can remember, like which would probably been like real British ones, which were like Henry's Cat, which was just, I can still remember the theme tune to it. I'm 45 years old and I can remember the theme tune to Henry's Cat. It was just complete. Oh, hello. Will-O-the-Wisp as well, which had don't mention Watership Down, Ed Smith.
Yeah, I'm still scarred from that. There was one, and I think there was another one, and I never know what it was. And this one was scarring. I was super little, and I think it was a remake of like, what is it, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with the lion, and they literally sacrificed the lion at the end of it. I was like, are you kidding? They're showing it on TV.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so that was it. They sacrificed the lion at the end. I'm like, oh my gosh! I was like a little kid.
Because
I was like, oh, this is
with
horrible.
that was it C.S. Lewis who done that? He was quite religious, and it is an allegory for Jesus. Aslan is Jesus, but in lion form. Trapdoor. Did you have Trapdoor?
No, I don't remember.
Right,
if you did.
You'll probably find it on YouTube. Trapdoor is if you speak to any English British people about Trapdoor, we just go stupid because Trapdoor was absolutely mental.
I'll have to check it out on YouTube then.
It was a claymation cartoon.
Cool.
And you had Burke, who was the servant to the thing upstairs, and he was played by an actor called Willie Rushton, and he was like oh, and he done like Burke, hello, That's how Burke used to talk. Boney, oh, Burke, oh, I'm covered in goo. It was just a skull. It was just a skull living in a fireplace. And then you had these little creatures. But I used to watch this in my teenage years. Me and my friends, when we used to we'd go out and would have some drinks, come home, and we'd sit down and watch a video of Trapdoor and just be watching it and just laughing our asses off because it was just so mental. But it was such a fun little thing. Secret of Nim.
Oh yeah.
I had that. That was, I think that was the other one that people were a little bit would water shit down because my mum, my last birthday party, because I could only have a birthday party up until the age of 9, and then I was a big boy. I wasn't allowed to have birthday parties anymore. And the 9-year-old me had my class friends come round to a party with all the treats, sweets and ice cream, and the Secret of Nim, and that scarred people as well. Because that's a bit scary in places for a 9-year-old kid back in the
party with Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, but that's the thing. You'd see these videos. Oh, it's got a cute little mouse on the front. Oh, it's going to be fun and enjoyable and wholesome. No, it's going to be terrifying when they drop a brick on you. But the Rats of Nim. Banana Man is still Banana Man is that was another. I don't think you would have had Banana Man.
Mm-hmm.
He was
no.
He was a young boy called Eric who lived down Acacia Avenue or something. But whenever he ate a banana, he would become Banana Man.
Oh, God. Yeah, we didn't have that one here. We're probably back
your life would have been better for it, I feel. Banana Man. Danger Mouse.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have Danger Mouse? Oh, Danger Mouse was awesome.
Yeah.
Did they do American voices on it, or did they keep it with the British?
Oh, they must have. I think they put I don't know. You know what? I'd have to really. It's been a long time. I didn't think about Danger Mouse in a while.
Yeah.
For anyone watching out there, please, if you get a chance, if you don't mind smashing that like button on this thing, give us a few likes. That always helps with the old algorithm process and everything. And I appreciate you watching. This has been going for a little while now, so I appreciate it. I'm trying to get a couple of these done. And Lee, thanks again for making it with us. So this is fun.
I'm just loving it because Crimson just come out with another classic of mine, I Am Weasel.
Oh, I never heard of that one.
Here's his voice. I am Weasel. And he was a weasel. Do you know Cow and Chicken?
Who could have saw that coming?
Do you know the cartoon Cow and Chicken?
No,
that's an American one.
Well, interesting.
Well, Cow and Chicken was tied in with I Am Weasel. They had the same characters, but flipping between the two on occasions. But I Am Weasel was voiced by Michael Dorn, who was Worf from Star Trek. Who was he was Weasel. He was a very accomplished at everything. And his adversary was IR Baboon. And they kept on IR Baboon trying to, upstage I Am Weasel. But it never comes off well for IR Baboon. Secret Squirrel.
Cool. Yeah. So this is
Top
cool
Cat.
hearing it from a UK perspective, what was going on with that and cartoons and stuff. This is free. So I would even White Dwarf, and there was a few things before it, like Doctor Who. I was mystified by Doctor Who because I could tell it wasn't American, and it was just different. You're like, wait, this is a different feel, and you're young, so I couldn't process why it was fully different. When I'm watching it, I started with, I think it was the one with the scarf.
Tom Baker, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was always it. I was like, wow, this is wild. And so I used to watch that, and I remember even White Dwarf and some other things, it was always like when it came from the UK, it was exotic because it would have like color with a U, and so it's like who like look at this book, it's imported. I got like U's and colors, like more authentic because it's coming from England. So check this out, like that was it. So I was always like, oh, it's got like the U. So it's like that was the thing, you know. I don't even know why that meant something to me.
But that's the thing, because with Doctor Who, it did have, because it was on like BBC World Service or whatever, BBC America, and I know the Americans, when they done the Doctor Who movie in the 90s with Paul McGann, they were trying to reinvent it and make it more Americanized.
Yeah,
I don't think it quite worked in that. Although they've kept, obviously, Paul McGann is still deemed as one of the Doctor's generations.
Yeah.
So I don't think they could actually, certain shows just can't translate across. I know like The Office is done quite well in America, compared to, and it's slightly different to the English Office, because obviously our sense of humours are slightly different in most respects, to what we find humorous and what, you know, the Americans find humorous, sort of thing. So I think like with the American one, it's a little bit more sort of slapstick in places.
Yeah, it's like, would it be fair to say it's like a little more like dry humorous with? I always loved it. Like, I love the difference, and I don't like when they try to Americanize it. It's like a lot of times it kind of takes the soul away sometimes for some things. You know what I mean? I'm like, I like the fact that it's, you know, like British and has a different feel to it and stuff. So I think that comes from simple things like the Doctor Who when you're younger and you can tell it's different, and I liked it. You know, I was like, I don't want everything the same. I want different stuff, you know?
Well, I think the only successful crossover for Doctor Who was in the TV show Community.
I loved
where you had our bed and Donald Glover's character Troy used to reenact and play Inspector Spacetime in their Imaginorium. That's just brilliant. On the chat, Ed Smith, did you have Dogtanian and the Musker Hounds in America?
Oh no, I don't think I did.
That is another sort of childhood staple, like, because everybody knows the song to Dogtanian. I'm not going to sing it.
See, good. That gives me a couple things to check out, because I was curious about that. Like, when I get some more people on here from there, I want to see what they had going on. Did you? So was arcades kind of a thing by you? Did you guys have arcades?
Yeah.
Okay.
So from sort of early 80s, or late 70s, early 80s. Sort of like, obviously we had like Space Invaders.
Okay.
Galaxian, those sort of games.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was like, okay, they got to be like doing the same. Arcades must have been coming out at the same time there and everything.
Like the original Star Wars thing with the wireframe attacking the Death Star, doing a trench run.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorites. And then obviously you had like Outrun, Afterburner, Operation Wolf. Shooters. But everyone loved the shooters with the machine guns that were strapped onto the actual unit. So you just like go there, shoulder in, shooting everything. Pac-Man, Pac-Land.
Yeah, so that was all the same as here. Yeah.
Again, it was where I am. Like I used to live in London, but my mum and had a caravan, like a mobile home, on a camp out in Essex. So we'd go there on the weekend. Down here, you've got Southend, which is like a big sort of arcade area, and a few other places in between. So I was always, when we were at the caravan, I would always go out to said arcades and spend my pocket money playing, Star Wars, Ikari Warriors, sort of thing.
Because I was wondering, I'm like, you got into it the same like me, so I was like, it's got to be similar over there the whole time, because. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Well, that's the thing. It's like, America, for us, we'd look at America and go, "Oh, wow, that's awesome." All the big shiny stuff, and and it was, America did have an influence on a lot of us growing up over here.
It's so funny to think about that, because that was the same thing with like me when I would get it from the UK. I was like, oh, look what I got. It was like something special. It was, like, to me, I was like, oh, UK. I'm like, it's all like more authentic. And the big influence was like a lot of the artwork in like White Dwarf, because it was something like D&D, which I really love the art of, but it was cleaner and more almost like, I wouldn't say commercialized, but I don't know how to say it. But then you would look over at something like in the White Dwarf, and it was like not scratchy, but like a little rougher artwork, and it was like a little darker, and it had this feel, and I just love that. The whole gothic thing mixed in with that. It was something not much at that time had, so it really was like a big influence.
But you also had like things what we had with like Judge Dredd in 2000 AD.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing, like with the way we go about things over here, with like, especially like with sci-fi, like one of the biggest things that happened, which I actually heard an interview with J. Michael Straczynski, who done Babylon 5 and other series sort of thing. He was talking about there used to be a sci-fi show in the late 70s called Blake's 7.
Okay.
Which was about a guy who was called Blake, funny enough, who used to be like a military leader for the Federation, but he went against the Federation. He could see the corruption, the wrongness, and he went against them.
Yeah.
And then he got drummed up on charges. And now this is late 70s, and he was drummed up on charges of like treason and also accused of being a paedophile sort of thing. And it's like, back then you didn't pay no attention, but when you got older, you realize what one of them is. You go, wow, that's a bit,
you don't know. Yeah.
No, that's a bit hard. And it was like that. And then they went through the season and they killed off characters.
Wow.
And said this interview, Michael Straczynski going like, in American shows, you didn't get that. You didn't get a popular character and then you kill them off. You don't do that. They're the heroes. They do this sort of thing. But they had that within that sort of series, and I watched it a couple of years ago, and like I say, it is proper sort of British sci-fi, where it's like, let's go to this planet. Oh, we're in a gorge. We're in a quarry somewhere, or we're in a field. So it's like
Star Trek, where they're just like
exactly. Early Star Trek, where they always had the same mountain behind them. With Kirk's fighting the Gorn. Always at the same locations, and just what they used to do though, they used to put different filters on the screen, so it's like there's a slight orange tinge.
You're right.
Like that. We're on a different planet. Oh,
you're totally different planet.
Yeah. Oh, Ed, what do you mean you still haven't forgiven Avon? That was Avon. Yeah. All right. Blake 7, you're going to have to check that out, because Avon is one of the most interesting characters in sci-fi, because he's complete. He's a smart ass. He's very intelligent, but he's very self-serving. And if you see him, you'll probably think, oh, what's it? I've seen characters like him elsewhere, because he was well played by the actor who played him. And he was just, to be fair, he was the main character, because in Blake 7, Blake disappears in season 2 or season 3. I don't know how many seasons there were. He disappears, and basically Avon runs things. But it's like they're all anti-heroes mostly as well, which was different and unique for that sort of time and genre.
I was doing comic books. I got into comic books around there too, and one of them, there's a comic called Alien Legion, and it was put out not by Marvel but by Epic, and Epic was like a sub brand of Marvel at the time. And that was my first kind of, I wouldn't say first, but because we've seen Watership Down and all that, but it was a story about, they were basically in space, and it was like all these different alien races, that it was like the French Foreign Legion in space is basically the gist. Cool. And what was crazy though is I was reading, and they would kill characters like quite regularly, and I would be attached to the characters. Like, so one of the craziest ones in that is 2 of my favorite characters got busted because one of them took drugs, and then like he was in combat, and then he accidentally killed a couple civilians. and they got busted and they got their minds wiped. So they were alive, but they didn't have their whole mind, and they would just shamble around. And then like a few issues later, they all end up getting killed. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a horrible way for your two favorite characters get mind wiped. And then later in battle, they just get killed. And I was like, oh, that was horrible.
That's the thing. It's like you do get those sort of characters that you sort of grow attached to within series. I always remember because I used to sort of regularly correspond with Graham McNeil, Black Library author, sort of thing. We are friends. We have a bromance going. But I asked him just once. This was a question. It's like, if you could kill off any character, who would you kill off?
Interesting.
And he immediately came back with Marnius Calgar. And I went, why? I said, because nobody would be expecting it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like when you're a writer, you want to create something, and you want to sort of, you want to have those moments where what you've written has an impact. So
it's emotionally moving. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if it's done right, it can be really, really effective. Sort of thing. But it's again, it's like with little things like with the Horus Heresy, like in the Black Library series. I always remember an interview with Dan Abnett, who was he'd just written Legion at the time, which was about the 7th book, which detailed about the Alpha Legion.
Yeah, and
the big reveal there was that about their Primarch. It's been a long time. It's been out for a few years. I would assume that most people would know.
Oh, you're okay with spoilers on this show, unless it's brand new, but yeah.
Yeah, it was about Alfarius and the fact that there was actually 2 Primarchs. Because you had Alfarius and then you had Omegon. And it was basically the spirit of the Primarch was split between 2 bodies.
That's right. And so I know about that, but I wasn't into it heavy when that lore was coming out. You know what I mean? So that him, like Alfarius, is kind of like not new to me, but new to me as far as I didn't take a deep dive in the lore. Like, because I was earlier, like, I know the Space Wolves and the Blood Angels, Ultramarines, those guys, but Alfarius and those guys were a little bit later.
Yeah, that's the thing about the whole Black Library series of the Horus Heresy. You get to find out more about these characters.
Yeah.
And, the whole thing about, because you always had the weird thing about the Alpha Legion is that all the chapter legions just have like a motto attached when you used to look it up, sort of thing. And the Alpha Legions was for the Emperor, and it's like, but they're traitors. Why would they have for the Emperor as their thing? And it delves into that side of things with how they went about things. But there was the big thing was that Alfarius was a spirit between 2 bodies, sort of thing. And that's the whole Hydra thing as well.
On Audible, I was watching some videos and I happened to see, was it Luton? Is it Luton? I forget how to pronounce his name. So, and he was I was watching a video and he was about to start talking about the Valdor book. And then, so I was like, and it was enough to hook me, so I stopped the video and I was like, okay, I'm going to buy the Audible book and I'll listen to that before I listen to the thing, because it was enough to be like, all right, I know a little bit about it, and I was like, I want to know more, and I had a bunch of Audible credits still good, so I'm like, all right, I'll grab it. So I picked up that one, and I guess it's only like a 6-hour listen, so I was like, you know what, I'll catch up on some of that because that's an interesting character for me to learn about more. So I picked that one up.
I was just looking in the so James Kidd, don't harm Calgar. He's a precious angel.
I'm waiting for Russ to come back.
Well, that's the thing. I always back in the early 2000s where they done the worldwide campaign for the Cadia, the 13th Black Crusade campaign, which everybody around the world, like loads of people, still talk about participating in those games and how it affected the things and even the actions that happened in there. Like the whole one of my friends who's is one of the managers up at one of the departments at Warhammer World now. He used to be a store runner back then, and he was saying that there was this one part of the campaign where a planet got destroyed. St. Josman's Hope was and they introduced the Chaos Planet Killer. It came along and destroyed a planet, and that shook everybody up because nobody had ever thought of anything like that before.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I think it was saying, you know, they pretty nabbed that idea from Babylon 5 with the Vorlon planet killers and the Shadow planet killers. But it turned up, destroyed a planet, and within the game system, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And it just went down like amazingly well. But the with that, you had the first time that you had the Warfen had come back. Who were the 13th Company of Space?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the Warfen turning up and that, and you think, what's it? And I always like those like little things where the Warfen was sent out. The 13th Company was sent out specifically by Russ to hunt down the traitors in the warp, and they went off. They've now returned, and so you think, well, do they precede the Primarch?
Yeah.
You know, is Russ going to suddenly appear from somewhere and go, "Hello, everybody! I'm here to kick ass."
Yeah.
Which I reckon he will come back into the 40k era because there are obviously we know through again it's only like from stories that you read, so you can't really the meta plot is totally different to like stories and everything. So like you've got the Warlord, and he's had his like Obi-Wan moment in one of the campaigns, the Wrath of Magnus campaign book, where Logan Grimnar was like in the snow doing a sort of Luke Skywalker in the snow moment. And he has like the voice in his head of the Wolf King sort of saying like,
"Oh, really? I didn't know that." Okay.
Yeah, it was just a small little thing. So it's just like a little indication that he's out there.
Yeah.
There was
interesting. That's cool.
There was another one with the little sort of tips and hints that you pick up, like with Transanor, the Necron Lord who opened up his stasis vaults during the 13th Black Crusade, where all these people were released, and there was mention of a incredibly huge warrior in Baroque armor. Was in like one of these vaults sort of thing. So like people going, well, could that be Vulcan? Could that be the Khan? Could it be could it be Valdor? Because he disappeared as well apparently at some point. So you got that. You got rumors that the Khan is walking through the webway. And
the GW has to be loving it because they have so much potential to grow everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's we've got obviously the one Primarch. Well, there was a little bit where they were saying about the Lion, where his bedroom in the rock, where he's been sleeping for all these years. In one of the Cadia type campaigns, or the Wrath of Magnus one, when the Dark Angels went to Fenris and things were kicking off. Apparently there was a little sentence in there where that room was empty. So you're like, if the room was empty, where's the Lion? Has he suddenly just woken up and gone, let's go see what's happening, and gone walkabout, or has his body been taken? You don't know. So with all these loyalist Primarchs disappearing left, right, centre, we only know where Bobby G is, old Guilliman, running things at the moment. But we know that Corax is in the warp, and he's embraced his sort of warp nature, because obviously all the Primarchs have a little bit of warp energy about them. He's using that to hunt down Lorgar. Killing people as the great Raven Guard Primarch would do.
Yeah. Arch Adept 81 up to no good in here, I see. Thanks for joining us. Fabi Z actually made it too. Thanks again for supporting on Patreon. I appreciate that, and appreciate you making it to watch the live stream. Which
Mephiston in WandaVision,
I have to catch up. I watched a little WandaVision. I'm gonna watch a few more. I don't watch much TV, but at night sometimes when I'm drawing a little and it's kind of, if it's nothing I have to think about too deep, I'll put on a show like that, and kind of watch and do at the same time.
Oh, totally, yeah. So it's one of those things you can just, and it's been quite different from everything, and I've actually been enjoying the fact that they're doing it on a weekly release instead of being able to stream it straight off, because when you stream things, yes, you can watch all the seasons in one hit, but you miss stuff, whereas doing it on a weekly, you can watch it and then you're thinking about it, and then when you come to the next one, you've had conversations, you've thought things over, what's happened in the previous episode.
I agree
and
with that.
You absorb.
I totally agree with that. Like when you have that extra week, you've been thinking about it, and sometimes if you're like binge watching something, you'll blow through it and kind of miss some stuff and whatever.
Oh, totally, yeah. Well, as I said, I started rewatching the Expanse, so this is my 6th watch through so far, and I'm
Really?
still picking up on things that I'd missed before and stuff like that, because you're binge streaming it most of the time, whereas season 5 it was like week, and you're sort of taking it all on board, chatting with your friends online about the episodes.
And it's nice just to have it, because like when you have a show like that, it's nice to almost just have a little something you can look forward to. It's like, oh, okay, it's coming out next week, that'll be cool.
Oh, totally, yeah. It was just King Crimson saying about Angron. It's probably the saddest of the stories.
Oh yeah.
But there's one of my actual favourite stories from the Heresy is a short story, Prince of the Lord of the Red Sands, which is a little snippet of Angron on Isstvan, sorry.
Yeah.
And it's this one little bit where he's gone around slaughtering the loyalist world eaters, and he sees one of them, and he's like smiling at Angron, and it's just like, he's dying, this legionary, and he goes over to him, and he has a conversation with him, and this legionary's like looking at him and he's smiling, and he's like, well, what you are smiling at? And he goes, see that cut there? I did that. And it was like, he was proud that he'd inflicted a wound upon Angron, and Angron wasn't mad at him. He was like, he was proud because it explained about Angron's whole outlook, because everyone knows him as Angry Ron, but he's just like a big mad ball of fluff running around. But this short story gave him so much more depth to him, and then obviously you get Betrayer again, but it was
Are you seeing on live? Are we lagging on YouTube, or are we still good? Can you see on your end?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Screen's up.
Oh no, good. Okay, there's a little delay on this YouTube Studio one, so I don't know if it was my thing, and I think the chat's all coming through, so I look good. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, well, on my phone, where I'm watching, that is a bit further behind, but that's always the case. But it's still running anyway. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was like a couple of seconds delay from my hand action. So when I'm doing this,
I'm just resetting, because I know sometimes when the streams go for a while, they start to buffer.
Fabby Z, yes, The Expanse is great. It's my favorite sci-fi show. That's why I've watched it so many times.
I liked whatever it was that 10, 15 years ago. I liked when the Battlestar came back.
Oh yeah. At the time, that was just epic, and I think is it Ron Moore who done with that. The character casting was perfect. Even obviously, I was a fan of the original one, so like with Dirk Benedict as Starbuck. And he was being lined up to come back into the new one, but then it sort of went right instead of left, and he didn't come through.
Yeah.
Obviously, they brought back Richard Hatch, who played Apollo, to play Tom Zarek
Yeah.
as the sort of rebellion leader in later episodes. But I think there was a big hoo-ha about Katie Sackhoff playing Starbuck. Oh, Starbuck's a guy and all that sort of thing. But once it got started, Starbuck was just awesome. You know,
Yeah.
in both series, Starbuck is
I
such an
agree with
awesome
that.
character.
I didn't mind. Like, I get, like, I don't care. I'm not, like, I like properties, but I don't get super attached. Like, sometimes if they're really going to redo something, so this is the way I look at it with, like, characters. Like, I liked Marvel comics, like, way back in the day, almost like 70s and 80s. So when you wait that long to get them to screen, I just want to see those characters at least first. You know what I mean? Like, show me, like, the people I've waited 30, 40 years to see. You know what I mean? Let me see that one on the screen and then kind of do whatever, you know? But I like, you know, when they, like, Starbuck, being female, I don't care as long as it's good. You know what I mean? Like, you're redoing it. So I like a little bit of, you know, mix something new in, switch it up a little. Kind of, you know, if you stay true to the heart of it, I really don't care what you kind of do.
Yeah, and they made it so much. I think it obviously reflected what was going on in the world as well, so people could relate to it even more. But Starbuck was awesome in that. I particularly like what they did with the fact that they changed it that was their call signs and not their actual names.
Yeah.
Because when I found out that Apollo was called Lee, I was like, woohoo! Lee Adama, I love it. So Apollo, Jamie Bamber, and obviously James Edward Elmas as Adama.
The level of gravitas to it.
Oh, totally. And I've watched like panels where they're being interviewed and all that, and the whole thing about "So Say We All" that was unscripted. That was
really?
Yeah, and that "So Say We All," and then we repeated it again, and like they're just like "So Say We All." So say we all.
Interesting.
And,
I didn't know
that. I think he said from that moment on, they were like a team. They bonded.
Oh, that was
cool. The moment.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the other things that the other actors were saying is that he was saying to them, "We'll get 5 seasons out of this. This will go for 5 seasons," and it did. So,
and especially at that time, sci-fi wasn't as popular as it is now and stuff. No. You know?
Yeah, well, so many great shows had been sort of like cut before their time, sort of thing. I know, like Firefly was one of them.
Especially in the sci-fi genre, because it's hard.
Yeah, but you know, you get. I think like with certain things like you say like Firefly, you only got the 1 season, and they got a movie to help tie it off because of public opinion. But you know, Battlestar done it. Babylon 5 suffered because of the mucking about where they cancelled it, and then they said, "Oh no, we'll keep going," because it completely destroyed. Yeah, it completely destroyed the flow because Straczynski wanted to finish off the story. He wanted to. He only had 5 seasons planned.
Yeah,
and they said, "Oh, we'll do 4, and that'll be it." What?
Yeah, it's like, come on, just do
Yeah, and it was popular. Maybe not as popular as certain shows like Supernatural, because you watch Supernatural, that it appeals to a whole different audience. All the sort of like
younger
geeks, nerds, and everyone, but it's young girls because of obviously the 2 main actors in it, sort of thing. But I enjoyed watching stuff like that and. Heroes. Do you remember Heroes?
Yeah. I did like Heroes. I thought that was pretty well done at the time. Yeah.
That went well for a good few seasons, and then I think again, sometimes you just need to sort of jiggle things up with the writing pool or something. It's when they lose their way a little bit. It's whether or not they can find their way back again. It's
so hard because with people's attention spans and all that stuff, you're juggling a lot to keep up. You know what I mean? To keep I can see 3 years, and then when you start going to year 4 or 5, that's when you're really trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think actually a great example of that was Lost,
Yeah.
because again they planned for about 5 years, 5 seasons they planned for, and they had their whole thing and all that. But because of its popularity, TV companies go, no, we want we
gotta
want
keep
more.
going.
We need, and then they're like, right, okay, and it started going off piece quite a bit. Going into like real life. This is happening. We've been found, and then it's like went a couple of seasons where it was just like okay, and I'd just watch it because I'd want to finish it to find out what's going on. But that's where sometimes you just got to know when to stop.
Yeah.
You've always got options with certain sort of franchises where you could do spin-offs and go with them just to sort of continue the story, but in a different direction, so it doesn't pollute the main.
Yeah, that's like I did not mind. Usually I'm kind of half skeptical about spin-offs, but they did that one spin-off of Battlestar and it was canceled after 1 or 2 seasons, but I kind of liked that actually.
Like Caprica.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because they're telling the beginning story and the weird room type of stuff and all that, and I kind of dug that.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing like young Adama, little boy in Adama,
and so I could see why it wasn't popular, but I still, I was like, okay, that was kind of cool.
Well, I say a lot of people I've spoken to who watched it had enjoyed it. There was another like internet only one called Blood and Chrome.
Yeah, and I don't know if I saw.
Good.
So there's one I didn't see. Didn't they do like an hour-long episode where it was from the Cylon's perspective, or a 2-hour kind of mini movie?
Oh yeah. There was Battlestar Galactica Razor.
Okay, that's the one I have to see. I gotta see that.
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw that one. Blood and Chrome was set during the first Cylon War.
Okay,
so that was when Adama was a rookie pilot.
Yeah, that's right. I think I did see that one.
So that was actually quite a good. See, and again, the acting in that was pretty decent, and obviously they had all the sort of technology for making the like battle scenes and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, James Kidd. Wow, it's my sister model. Thank you. No problem. I'm going to try to get this one done. I'm sure Lee has to go soon, and if you do, Lee, you can always go and I'll finish up. But I'm going to try to get this one finished with him because this has been enjoyable. I didn't know we were talking about all kinds of stuff, so I've been having a lot of fun with this. So
I should be all right for another sort of 15 minutes.
Yeah, because I'm going to do this one, and I might just drag on for a little bit. It won't. One sister, I should be okay.
As Ed Smith was saying about Korax was the lead singer of The Cure, the Untainted One, and a Korok that was from Crimson. The stories of Angron in the slave pits are heartbreaking, and how he would take away the hurt so everyone could sleep, and the Emperor could have snapped his fingers saving the slaves and kept Angron loyal. But that was the thing, though. There are so many stories out there where the Emperor doesn't consider himself to be their father.
Yeah.
The Primarchs are just tools. They're a means to an end, because obviously he's trying to guide humanity.
Weapons.
Yeah, he's trying to guide humanity to evolve into a psychic race. Because it's happened before during the old night, is when psychers came about and everything went pear-shaped.
And
so he's trying to avoid that and guide the entire sort of human race so they don't become warp spawn and stuff like that. That's the thing. It's like everyone's going, oh, the Emperor is a tyrant and all that. Yeah, he is, but he's doing it he's playing the long game.
Well, and that's one of the things I always thought was interesting about 40K is I like the Grimdark because it's like I've heard that where people are like, oh, he's evil. I'm like, okay, well, my thought is it's like, all right, well, if the game world was a choice of, okay, your whole species will be wiped out unless if you stop sacrificing these psychers. It's like, okay, how many people would say, okay, let's stop sacrificing them? And how many would say, no, we got to keep sacrificing them because we need to keep humanity alive? And if that was your choice, that's what I loved about it, because it's like, what's your easy answer? You know what I mean? It's like, you don't want to be sacrificing psychers the whole time and people and all the war. But then it's like, if that's really the option of like, hey, we got to keep all this going and do this ugly thing, it's like, people would do so much to survive. You know, it all sounds
totally,
good.
yeah.
It sounds good until you're really forced to survive, and then people make some messed up decisions.
Well, that's the thing. It's like with the warp. The warp is based on sort of death, decay, excess, and change. And humanity, their dreams, passions, wants, desires filter into the warp. And they gain power through worship and obviously symbolism, sacrifice. Yeah. Now the Emperor's been in the Golden Throne for 10,000 years.
Yeah,
being fed 1,000 psychers a day to power the Astronomicon, but also to keep things going for the Emperor. Yeah. So 1,000 psychers a day, and psychers, the warp don't like psychers.
Yeah,
they hate psychers. It's not their favorite thing because psychers can hurt them. And so you've got this living or unliving currently deity who's being sacrificed 1,000 psychers a day for 10,000 years. That's a lot of souls that he's consuming. Because he's the one sort of eating them. So it's I always like to think that the whole thing with the Emperor is similar to what happens in the film Dogma. You've got
gosh, that's it.
God being incapacitated on life support in New Jersey, and all you got to do is flick the switch, and the Emperor can die and then come back because he's a perpetual.
Mm-hmm. I know, and they got so many, and it's wild. It's like that story started kind of so long ago. You know what I mean? Like it's the slow evolution over decades of this whole world and what's going on. It's pretty crazy.
I was just looking on the chat here that Crimson was going on. The key about the Primarchs is that they're human. So I really think the Emperor had a goal, but he loved his sons. But sometimes he looks like he does. Other times he looks like he doesn't. And
I think they do that on purpose. You know what I mean? I think that the writers, they're going to try to keep the people guessing, and like, okay, they'll give hints that he does probably and hints that he doesn't.
There was in some of these little short stories that you can either listen to or read. I think there's so much said in them. There was like about the plan, like, as Ed was saying, he planned for us to turn traitor.
Yeah,
which he kind of did, because like with the Thunder Warriors, when they conquered Earth, he had to get rid of them because they'd served their purpose, and his next step was to have maybe not as powerful. A Thunder Warrior was quite powerful.
They were bigger, more powerful strength-wise, I think, than the.
But they didn't have the longevity. They didn't have, in all intents and purposes, a Space Marine is immortal as long as he doesn't get killed. And you have certain ones like Dante and that who are like 1,000 years old or longer. But it's that was part of the plan, according to some of the stories, where he was feeding those rivalries into his sons, so that when the time came, they can do the work for them, whittle themselves down, and then whoever's left at the end of the day, he will mop up with the custodies and stuff. It was quite sweet in some respects when you see about like Gulliman during times of the heresy, like ended the Great Crusade and all that sort of thing, and like, he had the 500 worlds, but he was getting his Ultramarines because he was thinking ahead, going like, okay, once all the conquering's done, we're going to have all these Marines about, so let's get them to integrate more with the human populace, and learn new trades, hobbies, stuff like that, to keep them grounded so they can sort of do something after the fighting's done. You know? So he was looking at that sort of thing. He had no notion that the Emperor was going to go, well, thanks guys, you helped me out. Like the Thunder Warriors, it's time for you to go to sleep. So that was pretty cold. But the thing is, like, when you're looking at, you know, the Emperor from our perspective, it's like with any sort of television franchise or anything, you know, like fantasy, is you got to see it from their point of view as well. So like, we're looking at the Emperor going.
To me, that's what it's about. It's kind of like, what world are they in? Give me 1 minute. I'm going to lock this up. I have to go take the dog out real quick. I'll be right back. I'm going to put one on. I'll do a time lapse when I go. Hang on.
But it's like one of the things I was saying, like with like Game of Thrones, for example, when that was on.
Oh,
you know,
that was pretty good.
Everybody's going on about, the Targaryens, but it's his auntie.
I'll be right back.
And that sort of thing. I'll keep talking. So, so with what they were doing in that is, to the Targaryens, that's how it is in their world, whereas we're watching this and we're applying our sort of sensibilities to their universe, which, you know, you can't really do. Same with Star Wars. You know, we have no idea what the Force is, but we think, oh, they're good, they're bad, and we put our own sort of spin on things, but we're not part of that universe, so we can't really say that how we were brought up reflects onto that. I think that's what I'm trying to get at anyway. What else have we got? Yes, it is pretty cold, Ed. That's the Emperor for you. Crimson. See, I'm not sure that either. I don't think the Emperor knew everything. I think he went into the warp. He absorbed the last bit of positive power left in the Immaterium. Yes, in Outcast Dead, there was a scene where the main character, who's a navigator, has a meeting with the Emperor, and they're playing Regicide. And this navigator speaks to the Emperor and says, aren't you meant to be all powerful and all seeing? And the Emperor replied, I am, but I can't be both at the same time. So he was trying to justify that, that he couldn't see what was coming down the line. And, sometimes, at the end of the day, the chaos obscured things from him. But I also see that with the Emperor, as we're saying, like trying to guide humanity to its evolution, for its psychic evolution from being mortal flesh into like a psychic race of some note, like similar to like the Eldari. You've got it reflects to like what happens in the series Dune with Leto II with the Golden Path, which, if anyone have read the books, Leto II, who was son to Paul Muad'Dib, lived for several thousand years because he became a sandworm, and his whole purpose was to guide through his choices humanity's evolution down a very narrow path, because on either side of that path, the Golden Path as he called it, was destruction of such magnitude.
That's right, he did become a sandworm. I forgot about that.
Yes, and he knew that he was going to basically, his body would change. He knew the sacrifice that he would make, and that everybody would hate him because he was such a tyrant for, restricting travel amongst them and trying to make huge changes with like and not giving people too much melange. But it was all to get an entire species to survive when you've just got one. it's like the Doctor Strange. There's 14 billion possibilities. How many do we? One. You know, and that's he's got one chance, and it's the same with the Emperor of Mankind. He's got that one way of doing things.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chaos don't want him to succeed because they've got this rather nice, tasty food source in humanity.
I listened to that Belisarius Call Great Works book, and Call had some interesting moments. He just, like, when Call was describing it, it was like the Emperor was really good. He's like, you were just bask in this like positive energy coming off, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. They were really portraying that one as having a more good vibe, you know.
Well, that's the thing, because with Mechanicus, they see things, you know, it's all like sums and figures, and
yeah,
you know, they can see, you know, probably can see more than what, because he appears to everyone differently. So like there was Arkan Land in Master of Mankind met with the Emperor, and he was so impressed by how clinical he was when he was trying to remove the nails from Angron's head. But how he was talking, he was referring to Angron as number 12.
Okay.
You know, he didn't have a name, he was 12, you know. So they had that sort of cold, calculating, sort of logic driven sort of thing. And obviously Belisarius Call looks to that, and Belisarius Call was charged with trying to make things happen. You know, the Emperor gave him orders, don't let anyone stop you. Everyone's going to hate you.
And he did too.
But do it. You know, you've got to do it. You're the only person who can do this, so you've got to do it. And obviously, Call has been doing that, and obviously annoying everybody ever since. Actually, I was just saying with Crimson, June. With I actually commented on, it was a tweet somebody put up with a picture of the new graphics for June, and because it looks like the sea instead of an E, because they put a little light in it, and I said, if you've read the book series, that's actually quite appropriate if it's called Dunk, because Dunk's in it all. But yeah, good old Duncan Goes getting laid. Yes, that was quite some scenes in the later books. And there's also, again, with Duncan, at the end of God Emperor of June. Oh, I wonder where that name went to. They mention, and I swear it's not confirmed, but at the end of it, they're saying about, because obviously Duncan's been brought back hundreds of times over the course of the year, sort of thing, and he met the Sand Rider, Shiana, I think her name was, who was like a blank. The Emperor, God Emperor couldn't see her, and that's what he wanted. He wanted to basically expand that genetic trait that they couldn't be seen through prescience. And obviously getting Duncan and her together, because Duncan was his favoured, you know, genetic, you know, stud. But they actually, the terms they used at the end of it was like the 1,000 sons of Duncan, Idaho, and the 7 daughters of Shiana. And I always think that the 1,000 sons name comes from.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. From that you know, like a homage or whatever.
Yeah. So it's like the story of 1,000 sons of Duncan, Idaho, and the 7 daughters of Shiana. But yeah, it's Crimson. Paul couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to be the worm. And that's the whole thing. It's like everyone says like Paul Atreides is a hero, and he is. But then it's also an example of showing how like a cult of personality, you know, whipping people up into sort of jihad and all that. And he didn't want to be the person that made that choice. He was too sort of grounded with his teachings to fully commit to that, and that's where Leto the second came into it. And then because Leto understood, he you know, even though he was a baby at the time when he had his first sort of communication with his father,
you're right.
They just sort of, like, again, you see in like the Primarch books where the Emperor speaks to Corax for a day and a night, and and everything is explained. all conversations, everything, they know what they're doing, and they part the separate ways, sort of thing. And that's similar to what happened there between Leto, and Leto knows what he has to do, and he has the dream where his skin would not be his own, and he becomes
Ed, wait, who said it? Hang on, I'm trying to see it now. Ed Smith, you could never accuse 80s GW of originality in their naming, so that's probably true.
Everybody plagiarizes everybody. Authors, again, it's like with George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Like I've read all 5 books of his, but a few years ago I got into the Wheel of Time.
I started that way back in the day, and I still have to finish.
Yeah, Robert Jordan, the story, and I for a few years I just listened to it all on Audible, repeatedly. I'd listen to it all. Excellent series, but I can pick out so much stuff from that I've seen in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
because obviously Robert Jordan was started writing before George Martin did.
Oh yeah.
And like you see, like certain like White Cloaks and Heartsbane and other bits and pieces, and the game of houses that they have.
Yeah, because that was totally
there.
going on in Wheel of Time, big time.
Yeah. So, and obviously, when you read Wheel of Time, you can see bits of Tolkien.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody takes from everybody else. But it's how they spin it and produce it. But they're doing a TV series of the Wheel of Time, or they have been.
Have they? I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
Sony TV have been working on. Obviously, COVID didn't help, but you've got again, you've got a few characters. Faces that you'd recognise that were in Game of Thrones. I'm trying to think who's.
Oh, that's
there's
good.
a couple of main characters.
This show is great. I get to learn stuff.
I just talk loads.
This is great. I get to catch up on everything while I get some.
So I'll bring you up to speed. Don't you worry.
Yeah, this is good. I have 30 years to make up. I'm like, this is perfect. I'm catching up on everything.
Yes, there's it was reading Crimson again on the good amount of time that Leto was a superhero because he was covered in baby sandworm. The sand trout. Sand trout. Yeah.
Sand trout.
But I say I love again. I love the stuff that they produce in there, and everything has the things like you can't use shields on Dune because it attracts sandworms. That's why Fremen's don't have shields, but then they'll use slow projectile pistols to shoot the enemies because obviously shields block out fast moving. Yeah. And you can't use lasers against shields because then that mutually destroys the firer and the recipient, and then also side effects thermonuclear reaction. So that's why they don't use nukes, and that's why they use swords and blades, because the shields sort of thing. You can't use the powerful weapons and stuff. So
that's what I dug that about it all the time too. I thought that was a good take on it.
Yeah. Oh, it really was. But I like it when you've got science fiction and it gives you reasons for why something happens in that universe. And again, like with The Expanse, with the whole Epstein drive, that it's not like a warp drive. It gets you where you want to get to faster, but obviously there's going to be a bit of time difference. It'll take you a couple of weeks to get from Earth to the edge of the solar system. Well, I think everybody would be up for a couple of weeks on a ship to get that far out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about how, the humanity, obviously you've got Mars with the Martians, you've got the Belters sort of thing, but how they're physically different as well. Whereas Star Trek, every alien is bipedal, but it has a ridge on its forehead, or it's got gills. But they're all the same. Whereas Belters are slightly danglier, and more brittle bones, so they can't go onto the planets, but they're really good at floating about in space because generationally wise, they've had a few generations of breeding out in 0G or low G.
Get used to it.
Yeah, because you adapt to your environment, and that really sold me on the whole Expanse sort of universe, really.
Yeah.
And the thing that, again, when I was saying earlier about watching these Ty and the other guy on YouTube,
Yep.
where you have it was created from a role play game. So basically, Ty Frank wanted to make a computer game, and he made this game. The company that was selling didn't buy it from him, so he retained the rights. Okay. So he thought, right, okay, instead of letting it go to waste, I'll make a role play game out of it. So he did. And where he was working, because he used to be like an assistant to George R.R. Martin. So
okay.
That's where he met up with some other like authors and stuff, and he met Daniel Abram, and then speaking to him, and they thought, hello, I've got this idea. We play a role play game. We can make this into a story. So you can write books. I can give you all the info and all that. But one of the greatest things that influenced him, that the creation of The Expanse, was based on Alien.
Yeah.
And it wasn't based on Dallas. It wasn't based on Ripley. It was based on Parker and Brett, the two scruffy worker dudes, white collar work dudes.
Yeah, because you're getting more. It's less the soldier and more kind of like some workers, like
some guys working in space, wondering, what's it? Are we going to get danger money for going down on this planet? You know, I'm not going there if I'm not getting paid. And it was that sort of their sort of characters in that is basically The Expanse. It's like, you know, people are out for themselves, not in a horrible way, but you know. They know what they're worth. You know,
Tabletop Minions, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I did 3 of them today. So I did this one. I like this. I like the Sorcerer Rot. I did this one. And now I'm going to work on the Sister. I figure it's my anniversary of Paintovers. Since the first one I did was last year today, I'll try to do a couple of these. So thanks for checking it out.
Yeah, so I was just Crimson. Yeah, like to think that June is the dark age of technology. Well, to be fair, I think that's before even the golden age, because June set in 10,000, year 10,000. Although in the June universe, Earth has been lost. They don't know where it is anymore.
Way back in the day on the Sci-Fi Channel, they had Children of Dune, and I watched that.
James McAvoy.
What was that?
James McAvoy played later.
Oh, that was that. Oh, wow. I did not, because I haven't seen it in a while. I didn't even think about that.
Very, very young James McAvoy.
Wow.
I like that because you had William Hurt in the first one, when they done June, the miniseries. William Hurt played Duke Leto, because, you know, I know not a lot of people like, well, June, David Lynch's June, is not quite, you know, the same as the books.
Yeah,
But the characters in this is what sold it. You know, young Paul Atreides with Carl MacLachlan, Francesca Annis as Lady Jessica, and like Jurgen Prochnow, you know, as Duke Leto, and like Patrick Stewart as Gurney. So it's like,
yeah.
Although you had Sting as Fade Roofer, but he's you know, that movie was one of my greatest sort of like influences as a kid. I love June, and this new June is going to be, I reckon it's going to be just absolutely mental, as in so good.
It's one of those where I'm so. By the way, if anyone is a fan of Dune, which I'm sure lots of people are, look at. I think it was Jodorowsky's Dune with the one he.
There's Alessandro Jodorowsky. Yes.
I want Mobius's sketchbook from that movie. The Mobius sketchbook, and Mobius is one of my all-time favorite artists. Oh man, they had that whole book of sketches. I'm like, I have to hunt that thing down. I mean, it was from more people than just Mobius, but like his, I was like, wow, I love that guy.
That was the thing with the whole Jodorowsky's Dune, which is on YouTube, because I watched it on YouTube. The whole documentary, and it's just it kind of reminded me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, because he was going around meeting up with people, like I think Dan Bannon was one of them, and just getting stoned, meeting up with other people.
They were talking with Dolly.
Salvador Dali is part of it. Morbius doing artwork for it. You had Pink Floyd doing the soundtrack for it.
Yeah,
Mick Jagger was going to be in it. You know, it had all these, and obviously H.R. Geiger, because it was from that who fell into doing the work with Alien, because Dan Bannon done the script or screenplay for the original script for Alien, and then they changed it because the characters in it weren't exactly, you know, you had like Ace and like you know, Hero and all that, and I've forgotten his name, Walter Smith. The director got hold of it and gave it a little bit more meat to it, and then obviously that he came out and they gave it to Ridley Scott. So there were several thingies, but Jodorowsky's Dune is absolutely mental. The amount of, I think Orson Welles was going to be in there.
That's right. I think
it was like a who's who.
He was just like, he must have been high as a kite just talking to everybody.
And do you remember?
Said those are great. Thank you, appreciate that.
Where you had the trailer for the new Dune that has been released, and they had the song, Pink Floyd song on it, Eclipse.
Okay.
As a soundtrack. So if you look on YouTube and you've got the trailer for it, you hear the music that's playing over it is Pink Floyd, and they've done it as an homage because they were involved in Dune.
Yeah.
So it's just like stealing it and pulling it in there. But yeah, it was a really nice touch, I thought, and it sounded really sort of ethereal and gave the trailer extra life in that.
I was trying that. So King Crimson said, you guys ever heard of a book called Wayne D. Barlow Guide to Extraterrestrials? I haven't. And he said, a holy flare behind her might outline the model some. I've been trying that. I should have looked. I got to get more reference. Like, I haven't been looking at a lot of 40K art lately, oddly enough. And I got to get more of like how they're seeing it for some ideas. And I was going to try to put, that's why I started with this headpiece with a little bit of flare behind it. But I'm going to try another one here because I do want the glow. But when I'm sort of ignorant of like some of the powers or the, you know what I mean? So I miss some of the best ways to, that's one of the reasons I do this. Like I want to catch up on a lot of stuff because it actually
helps like,
bars.
Maybe like a light flare, J.J. Abrams light flare behind her.
The lens flare. I have sparkles.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams has lens flare. I have sparkles of everything. That's what I do.
It's,
do you have to get going?
I'm going to have to go now, unfortunately.
No problem.
I'm getting messages coming through going, is everybody here yet?
No, I know. This one lasted longer because I was all happy. I'm like, it's the anniversary. I'll try to do a couple for people. So thank you.
No, it's an anniversary. You had to put a little bit extra effort into the show.
Like everyone's been really helpful with me, and they've been, liking videos and retweeting and all that. So I try to do what I can to get some people some paintovers. And then I will message you again, and we're going to have to do this again. This has been a lot of fun.
No worries. I say we'll again for, I don't know, next Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah, probably next week if you're down. So what?
Yeah, I ain't going anywhere.
Well, good. You have fun shortly.
I'll try my best.
You log yourself out, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just bring myself out now. I'm going to do a miniature of apothecary now. I'm going to just disappear. So thanks to everybody joining in today. Lovely to answer your questions and everything, and hopefully catch you again next week. So until then, teddy bears.
Goodbye. Well, that was fun. And now I'm left alone to talk to myself. That was cool. I got to catch up on a lot of stuff, so I'm all happy. Like that was and I got some productivity done. I'm going to try to do just a little more on this. I love these models. There were so many good ones submitted in that thread. So I try to do some of them and learn a lot as I go. And I was getting all nervous again before this one. I'm like, it was funny. I did the last like live stream. It was like 4 days ago, but it was like 2 days after. I'm like, and I forgot, and I was like, wow, it's been a long time since I did a live stream. And then I looked, and it was only like 2 days ago. And so I was like, oh man, I feel like I'm out of practice if I don't do it. So I'm like, okay, I start getting a little afraid. I'm like, well, how are you gonna do it and talk to everyone? Are they gonna come out okay? So I'm like, don't think about it. It's like, don't think, just act is my motto. It was in some movie, and they said it as a joke, and it is a joke, but at the same time, there's some truth to it, because I think if you sit around and think too much about it, you'll kind of like convince yourself not to do it, or convince yourself something bad's going to happen. So I'm like, okay, don't think, act, just go start streaming. King Crimson, I'll happen to Discord voice chat if you need a random guest. No, I'm going to end soon. I want to try to finish this up, but I am going to have more people on. So like today I tested the multiple screen thing. So, once I get a hang of it more and this becomes more habit, I definitely want to have people stopping over, especially since I'm doing these. I love having the person who painted the miniature be able to talk about it and stuff, because I just love that kind of thing. And you get to hear about, what they were planning and thinking. And a lot of times people got their own chapters, and, they're pouring a lot of creativity into it. And I guess I don't know, I like it. A little more. I don't know if the problem with the glow. Just start. Tabletop Minion said just start. I tell people that all the time. Yeah, unfortunately it took me it's one of those where it takes me a long time in life for it to settle in. So I finally started now, but I'm like, just do it, And that was a lot of this. I'm just like, I've been afforded an opportunity where some people will tune in for this, and they've been sharing my artwork. So I'm like, just roll with it, have fun, and keep working. I'm not afraid to work at it. Like, I'll put in the hours and stuff. So that's all you can do. And it's been a blast. I didn't know I was going to enjoy like speaking with them, like having Lee on, and just, I don't know, we're talking about Dune, talking about all that stuff. It's really good just for me creatively. James Kidd, this was my first sister's model. Only have a couple hundred points still. Yes, and that's why I chose Necromunda, because I'm going to do it. I just want the weather to warm up a little more here so I can bust out the airbrush and spray prime, and then I'm just going to do that. I'm like, I got to get some done. And I was laughing. I'm like, I may try to live stream like my first miniature paint job in however many decades. So I was like, that'll be a live stream. Like, watch me paint for the first time in ever. Yeah, it's very true, King Crimson. The joke thing is I sort of take seriously as Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. Sometimes like, I knew some life lessons, but it's like they take a while to settle in. It's like, yeah, Tabletop Minions. I love the original game, and so I love the skirmish, and it has that little element of RPG where you can, level up, and I love that, so that's kind of another reason why I chose it. I heard it's a little more. So in the first one, they were really like bad shots and that kind of stuff. And so this one, I think they said they're a little more equipped to fight. They're not just, whatever, rundown gangsters. Yeah, and if anyone hasn't checked out Tabletop Minions, he's one of the ones I watch on his show. I like your show because for someone who's getting kind of back into it, you cover a bunch of different little stuff. I watched on that box set. I forget the name of the box set, but you just did a video on it. So I was like, oh, I want to see kind of what's going on in that box set and all that. And so I was checking out that one. I wish I would have got some of the earlier box sets. So I'm a little bummed I missed some things, but I'm going to pick more up. My layer control. Someone out there, like some artist is going to be looking at all my layers and how I use the most hodgepodge of stack it. And then I'm like, well, I like this light, so just leave it and move on to another one. Tapping on the screen. King Crimson, I actually do kill King Crimson. Can you try that flare effect on top one and think of a single point right behind her belly button? Oh, you mean actually behind her, like so. Hang on. If I do this one, and you mean luminescence, let's try. I never played Kill Team, so I don't know. See, here was the problem with the glow. So she's wearing the white armor, and because I'm doing this fast and didn't have a proper way to plan a glow, if I do a proper glow, it's white next to it, so like it just blends real quick. Like those kind of blend together, the glow plus her. And I don't have a good way right now of doing it. My instinct is almost like comic book style, because I used to love drawing comic book pages and still do. So I always want to almost do like a holding line image. Let me go on a different layer. It'll glow better up top. I'm behind the tinted layer. So I always kind of want to do like it's away from them. And I could do it. It's just, it's one of those where it would take too much time to go around and get an effect, because I would kind of wrap some and kind of make a glow that's hanging away from her a little bit. And I would kind of go around and, play with that, but I don't think I'm going to do that for today. My stream has already been dragging on. And I would try to do that. So that's kind of the direction I would go if I was doing like a holy aura, you know what I mean? I would try to do that with her blocking some stuff. But having not practiced and being on live stream, I kind of don't want to. Because it would take me a while to kind of execute it right. But with the sister, that would be like one of the first. And that's what I couldn't believe I was forgetting void shields on all the Titans. That was crazy. So I was glad someone brought it up, and then I got to put one on there because it was fun. I'll try some more behind her. See, and it might work. I'd have to, you gotta be, whoa. You're kind of really designing when you do that stuff. And a lot of times, if I'm not prepared for it, it wouldn't be the best. See, I could probably get away. And yeah, I don't want to put it all over, because then the glow looks, horrible. And so you got to kind of be careful where I would put it. And that's one of those things where when I do some of these, especially commissions, if I really, like, I would put the glow, but I would put it down. I would draw a little bit of glow and then come back, an hour later with some fresh eyes and see how what effect was working and what's not. Sometimes I just, as I'm drawing, I can't see it, and I need like a bit of a break from it so I can kind of pick up on what I'm missing. Oh, I know. I want a Sisters army. The Sisters vehicles, they got those tripped out vehicles. I love like the organ, and they're so ornate. Like, and that's one of the things I loved about 40K has all the ornate craziness. And you know what? I think I will call it good for now. I think I'll call this one good. I might go in and edit this one back a little later. James Kidd, I'm not in the Discord. Where can I join? If anyone here is watching and you do want to join a Discord, if you have Twitter, I will just like DM me. I'll send you the link. It's really small. Like it's only, I don't know, 15, 20 people, you know what I mean? But it's kind of like my test ground for things and talk about stuff and that. So if you happen to be on Twitter, DM me, or if you're on Instagram, message me there. You might be able to get YouTube, whatever. Just let me know you want it. I think at some point I will open it up more because it's not like it's an exclusive. It's just that if I'm always scared to like have a big open one where everyone's coming in and it's kind of like just small time conversation. James Kidd, I've been painting the Exorcist big organ one. Yeah. And doing metallics over white is such a pain. Yeah, I can imagine. When I start painting some, I'll have some lessons to learn. All right, all. I think I will end this here. I'll go a quick, let's look at the ones I did today. So I just did 3 on this stream. That one, this one, I love that photo. Just such a great pose in the model and everything. This thing is intense. And I look back, and when I do these quick, I always kind of look back and like, oh, I wish I should have done that. And the colors should be a little more vibrant. And I should go do this and do that. And you want to go do everything. That was a big lesson for me, is kind of with art. Let it go. Get the next one. Oh, this is kind of cool. I do kind of dig it. I love, it's Visceroth, or I forget how to pronounce the name, but such a cool style. It's kind of really like gritty to me, and that like the soft aura of like, he puts like an aura, or she, I don't even know, puts a soft aura of light, but it's like a dirty light almost. I just love it. There, everyone's sharing tips in here. So thanks a lot for joining. If you haven't, please give it a like, a share, whatever you can. I've been kind of moving up for me in YouTube. So like, to me, I have 7 viewers. It's like I got like this whole crowd. And so my likes have been slowly ticking up. And so I really appreciate that. And, if you can, hit the like button, do all that good stuff. And I tweeted out today, and I'll retweet it, and you can, I want to have a thread, so the tweet will go out and you can reply almost all week with any pictures, and then on next week's show I'm going to use some from that tweet to paint over. And then later, like, I think I'm going to kind of have little segments on the show, and one of them is going to be looking at the photos that people submitted, and then I'm going to start to get more formal with it, where Lee had a couple little good talk about preparing photos for paintovers. And I think I can do a better job of conveying what I think looks good and what works. So I want to get that out to people so they can be like, hey, if they want to commission me, or even one for the free days, that it can be a good, strong composition. So I'm going to be putting a lot of that stuff together. So I got a lot going on, and it's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much. Tabletop Minions, thank you for stopping in. King Crimson, you're a rock. I love you for signing up for the Patreon and doing all that. It goes a long ways to help. James Kidd, hit me up. I'll make sure I get you a Discord invite. Ed, thank you for coming around again. It's been a pleasure, y'all. And I'm going to have, I'll do some more this week. Like, I usually kind of pick up sporadically. I think that works best for me. Like, when I have good drawing energy, I'll just hop on and do it. But Wednesdays is kind of going to be a regular thing. And then I think I want to pick some other day that doesn't conflict with a lot of people and get like a semi-regular thing going on too. So I have a lot to learn with streaming, but I think I got some cool ideas, and I love like the Switcher Studio program and how it works. So I want to try out a bunch of stuff. You all have a great day. Thanks for making it, and I will talk to you soon.